Looking for music that lifts your spirit and fills your heart? Experience the powerful sound of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. Now streaming on all your favorite music platforms. Find the Tabernacle Choir on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Pandora. Let the music of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square inspire you today and every day. Whether you're at home, in the car, or on the go, enjoy the beauty of their world-renowned sound anytime. The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, streaming now.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Wednesday morning, July 1st, and NBA free agency is heating up. We've got moves, more moves, potential moves, rumors of moves, leak negotiations. If you love the NBA soap opera, it's on right now. Some stuff's official. It's going to happen. And a lot of stuff's happening in L.A. Kawhi Leonard is out and LeBron James is out. We know Kawhi Leonard is going to Toronto in a move that, feels like the old rearranging of the deck chairs for Toronto and the Clippers. I don't really see – I don't get it. I don't think this vaults either team forward. The Clippers are going to get they're going to send Kawhi Leonard away, and they're going to get Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick. Now, they do get first-round picks in 31 and 33, and they get a pick swap next year, and they get a couple second-round picks in there. It's not going to help the Clippers win. It ought to help the Jazz jump over the Clippers in the standings this season, so there's that. And I don't see how Kawhi Leonard plays enough. I mean, if he's healthy, it makes Toronto better in the East for sure, but that's a big, gigantic if. So that's that deal. I just think for Jazz fans, it means mostly the Clippers probably go backwards here. I think at best they tread water. The Lakers are letting the Lakers are parting ways. I was going to say letting go, but maybe LeBron wants out. We don't have a firm gauge on that. Everybody's very nice in public, nice social media posts. Thanks for the 8 years and the championship and the memories and the sold-out buildings and all that. And LeBron thanked him back. Where's he going to go? Golden State, Miami, Cleveland. Go play with Steph Curry. Go play with the friend you made in the Olympics, and we can have this royalty and legends tour. Or go to the places you've been before, Cleveland and Miami. Miami to play with Giannis. Cleveland, it really does emotionally seem to put a bow on it. You know, and Cleveland's pretty good, so maybe LeBron, and apparently he's not looking for a lot of money here. I thought maybe veteran exception, but now there's some reporting out there. Maybe he'd even take less than that, maybe veteran minimum or something close to it. So that's intriguing. And the one thing that's official is he's told Clutch Sports, who obviously represents him, to go out and find everybody in the league who's interested. He'll listen to anything. So, yes, even the Jazz could make a pitch. Denver should make a pitch, right? I mean, the Joker needs good players around him. LeBron? I mean, LeBron and the Joker together, that'd be two pretty high basketball IQ guys on the court at the same time. So who's to say? It does seem to make sense, you know, where there are relationships. Maybe that makes it a little easier to go. He's built a relationship with the guys in Golden State, and obviously he's been in Miami and Cleveland. Cleveland emotionally because he started there, and going through the East that doesn't look as good as the West. He had his most success in the East. The one thing about San Francisco I did hear is that, you know, with a wife and he's still got one daughter at home, they could stay in L.A. It's a quick flight. He's got all the money in the world to fly private jets back and forth, whether they want to come up for a weekend or, you know, they have a couple days off in their schedule. He can fly home for 24, 36 hours or whatever. And that's a whole lot easier to do from San Francisco, where you're looking at an hour flight tops, as opposed to trying to do it from, you know, Miami or Cleveland or wherever else. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, him leaving does open up a lot of cap space in L.A., and a lot of what was being factored in, and the whole Walker Kessler, now we get to the meat of the deal, right? The whole thing that's been factored in here with Kessler is, well, they can only spend so much on Kessler because they've only got so much room, and they're going to have some for LeBron, how much they need for LeBron, and now it turns out they need zero for LeBron. So LeBron may have given the Jazz a shaft one last time. Now, the fact is, though, they do need to replace LeBron. They do need other scorers. But apparently Luka Doncic has made it clear he wants a shot-blocking, rim-protecting center. And then basically they're going after their top priorities. Going after might not be right, but their top two priorities are in Utah and Detroit, and both guys are restricted. So they got to come big to outbid the other team, and they're pushing it up into the high 30s. I don't think this has so much to do with Kessler's value. I think this has more to do with them trying to figure out how much cap room do the Jazz have and how much can they afford to give up. The Jazz, with this deal, would be inching very close to luxury tax territory. And you get to go over, obviously they can go over to re-sign their own guys, so the Jazz can do it. But the penalties increase, as you're in it one time, then two times, and three times in 4 years, and you have to be out of it twice to reset it. So the question is, do the Jazz want to go into luxury tax territory this year and start that clock ticking, or do they want to hold off 1 year figuring, hey, let's look at how 28, 29, 30, and 31 shape out. That's when we're more likely to be making our championship push, and let's not go into luxury tax territory this year when you're probably getting playoff experience and hopefully a lot of it. Hopefully it's not, first round out in 4 or 5 games, but maybe win a series and have a second series go deep so you get to play, 10, 12, whatever games, 14. I've been talking, I think it's been really clear to me that the Jazz need a veteran guard that will help them in the playoffs, someone to handle the ball in the last 5 minutes. We saw what a mess inexperienced players in San Antonio made in the NBA Finals in key spots. And they're just inexperienced, haven't been there before. And to put the hands in a ball of a veteran, or put the ball in the hands of a veteran, is a major advantage. But if they're going to sign Kessler, I don't see where they're going to go get the $15 million I thought it would take to sign this guy, unless they're willing to sprint into the luxury tax and possibly over the first apron right away, which kind of locks in their roster and limits their possibilities. So we'll see what they want to do. One thing I did read that's intriguing, and a second thing that factors into this is some of you have pointed out in a social media post. We got the question up on Facebook about Kessler and should they pay the mid-30s? And I think that the Lakers are clearly picking that number based on how much it jams up the Jazz and how much the Jazz are likely to match it. Because they know if they come with $32 million, the Jazz are going to match it. They just are. Excuse me, I don't have any sources, but I'm just telling you all the logic, all the tea leaves points in that direction, and the Lakers just don't dare risk it. They got to go big if they think they're going to really have a chance to get Kessler. And I don't know that they'll get him at 37. And one thing, a couple things working with the Jazz. Some of you have pointed out, hey, California taxes are way higher. Yes, he could pay about 9% more there. So basically, you get up to $35 million. You're talking about $3 million. Ballpark is what he'd be giving up. It's $34 million in Utah is the same as $37 million in LA just because of the state taxes. That's before you consider, more expensive homes, blah, blah, blah. So that's one thing, and I'm sure the Jazz will point that out. And then the other thing is the Jazz can front load the contract. They've got more breathing room now, and maybe they let some guys go that they were planning on keeping. Looking at you, Cody Williams. And free up some space and front load Walker Kessler's deal. And maybe he does get 40 right away. But the CBA does let you put the money up front and lets you take it down up to 8% per year. So it could be 40. They could walk it back to 37. They could walk it back to 34. Put that with the fact that the cap's supposed to go up about $10 million a year, which means the luxury tax could go up even a little more than that, 11 or 12. That could give the Jazz a little breathing room going forward in 2028, 2029, et cetera. So I wouldn't be surprised in the end if Kessler's deal is front-loaded. To what degree depends on what moves they're anticipating making now and what moves they think they might want to make later, and they'll kind of have to guesstimate on that. But those are two things I think the Jazz have. As far as they could just match the Laker deal, but they could also negotiate with Walker and say, hey, we can match in this deal, or we could give you this. Because if you get your money up front, you can invest it up front, and your money can start making money, and, blah, blah, blah. So I think those things to be pointed out. All of this has to be figured out. If it sounds complicated and gives you a headache, well, Austin Ainge is the one who wanted this job. This is a part of the territory. This is part of the deal. So I do think for those of you who are thinking, I want to see the young guards play, I don't really want to bring a veteran in. PK has brought that up. I think watching this play out, because now we know how much money they're giving the backup center with Nurkic. And we can look at Peterson, he's going to be slotted in at about $13 million and 11. So now if Kessler's coming in, 35, 36, 37, 38 million, whatever, you can start seeing like, well, there's just not a lot more room. They're getting pretty close to the old luxury tax right there. So, and they could let somebody go. Cody's, they got a lot of guys making about $3 million. They got about 4 guys there. So they wouldn't get a lot of savings bringing someone in on veteran minimum. Because Collier's at $2.7 million, Filipowski's at $3 million, Svi Malik is at $3.8 million, and Brice Sensabaugh's at $4.8 million. Then you get to Cody Williams at $6 million and John Conchar at $6.1 million. So there could be, some savings there. We'll have to see what they do. And maybe Conchar is that veteran they want on the perimeter. Cody doesn't really fill that bill, so that was why I threw his name out first. But we'll just have to see how this plays out because the Lakers and the Jazz are going to be playing every angle, and Walker Kessler has leverage, so he's going to get paid. All right. There's the early take on the NBA. That was a pretty busy 24 hours. There's more stuff going on. We'll get to that coming up. We'll spend a lot of time on the NBA this morning, to be sure. Definitely part of the plan. All right. Coming up. We got Eric Pincus talking salary cap issues. We got Brandon Huffman talking college football recruiting. We'll get to that in this hour. Later this morning, John Brice is going to join us to talk college football. He's from USA Today. Did a big story on Kalani Sitake and BYU. He's going to be here at 8:30. And Larry the Laker at 9 o'clock, the end of the LeBron era. And Larry ought to be salty and spicy over that. All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Eric Pincus joined us yesterday before LeBron left, before we knew he was out. We don't know where he's going, but he's leaving the Lakers and going somewhere. So, there have been some developments, but nonetheless, Eric Pincus with some interesting thoughts on the Jazz and salary cap space and where this might be going. Here's Eric Pincus with PK and I. Eric, good morning. Welcome back to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
For people who don't know, Eric, you made your name as a writer for multiple reasons, but one of the big one was understanding the salary cap and understanding the finances and using that to help predict what teams were going to do and needed to do. And do you know who's sitting in that spot right now? Well, with the second apron, I guess a lot of teams are. But the Utah Jazz are for sure. And we were curious what you thought of the Jazz offer to Kessler and what you thought of Kessler's meetings with apparently 3 teams. The Athletic reporting that, Tony Jones. Where do you think the line for the bidding will go for Kessler and how long the Jazz should stay in it? That's a lot all at once. Jump in wherever you'd like.
Well, I mean, to go backwards, like how long is an interesting question because he's restricted. And the reality is restricted players have a tough go. It is the toughest spot to be in as a player. So the team has the leverage to wait all the way until about October, technically. So time frame, it doesn't have to be a rush. I'm not saying it should go to October, but that's what we saw with guys like Jonathan Kuminga and Quentin Grimes and some of the guys last year who were restricted. So it's not abnormal for these things to wait. It's up to the agent representing Kessler to try to push it through and to try to get something going. So and then time frame, there are very few teams that really have money, and they have money now. One of those would be the Lakers, and I think that's the obvious pursuer. When they say 3 teams, I kind of read that as the Lakers, and the Lakers. I'm not sure who the other 2 teams are. Like the Bulls traded or are trading for Nicholas Claxton. They have that spending power. The Nets could make a run. I'd have to look at what their books are going to be after some of the moves they're making, but they could theoretically make a run. And then there are some sort of upstart teams that can get to cap room, like maybe the Clippers if they trade Kawhi, or maybe the Pistons if they don't pay Jalen Duren. So there are some potential suitors, but really it's up to the Jazz and Kessler to work it out. And at least the reported number, I believe, was about $25 million starting salary. And so you figure, the max is 41. He's probably shooting for closer to anything above 30, 35 in that range. And so that's kind of at least my opinion, the range of what they're negotiating. Forget the number of years and all that is a much bigger number, over 4 or 5 years or whatever. But I'm saying, probably the negotiation is over $25 to $35 million starting salary.
Okay, so that's the framework of the salaries, right? The range that you just established. How much do the Lakers then want him to be able to be in that position to offer that over 30, getting close to 35?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it feels like their primary goal is to upgrade at center. That seems to be what they're trying to do now. DeAndre Ayton opted into his contract. He's got about $8 million. They'll probably, I assume, bring back Jackson Hayes. But to upgrade to Kessler, who's somebody that has been linked for at least 2 years, maybe longer, with the Lakers. There was a time where the Jazz considered trading him earlier and ultimately decided not to. And I believe the Lakers have been in on Kessler for all of that time. They want a rim protector, somebody who's got real height. How high they'll go is ultimately the question, and they could get to that. If the demand was 35 or 32.5 or somewhere around there, something above 30, they could make what's called an offer sheet. And an offer sheet is, it's a contract, but it's one that the Jazz would have a day to match. And that you could sign that with the Lakers on July the 6th, and so the Jazz would have until the 7th to decide. And then you're really choosing, do you want to commit that money and keep Kessler on what would be a 4-year deal, probably starting at around 32, 35, somewhere in that range. Maybe it has a trade bonus. Maybe there's some other favorable language in it that makes it ugly. Or the alternative is if the Lakers are going to do that and you aren't going to match that, maybe you negotiate with the Lakers and do some sort of sign-in trade where they get Kessler and maybe the Jazz get something back. But, the Lakers, what that gives them is that gives them surety. They don't have to wait and wonder if the Jazz will match. But they're not going to give up a ton because if the price is too high, they'll just do the offer sheet and force Utah's hand. And then if they match, then the Lakers would just have to have a really good plan B, which I don't know if they have at this point.
So do you think in the end of the day the Lakers are going to be able to pry Kessler away from the Jazz one way or another, whether it's, like you said, a sign and trade, the signing that isn't, or the offer that isn't matched?
Well, it's really up to the Jazz and their their framework, their situation, their decisions. Like, do you lose this kid for nothing and let him walk, or do you get something out of this situation, or do you keep him? And the challenge is if you match an offer sheet, then he can block a trade for a period of time, and so there are some issues. There's just some issues. Like there's one other option would be what's called a qualifying offer, where let's say the Lakers Kessler doesn't sign this offer, Lakers don't give him this giant offer, he can come back for $7 million. And the challenge there is also trading him becomes difficult for a lot of various reasons. It's difficult to get value because he can block a trade. The team that gets him doesn't really have the right to pay him significant money. So. It's really up to the Jazz. You obviously know the Jazz have Jaren Jackson and Lauri Markkanen, and then there's a report that they're keeping Nurkic. So, and not to mention they have Filipowski. So there's already a decent number of big guys and sizable, and a lot of money. Not to mention that you're going to have to pay if you're the Jazz, Keontae George. Probably an extension this summer, and if you don't pay him an extension this summer, I'd be surprised. But if they don't, then they're going to have to pay him next year. So it's not necessarily Kessler's number this year as much as it is like how much do they really have an appetite to carry in salary with Keontae at a big number, Jaren Jackson Jr., Markkanen, you got Nurkic, at some point it feels like Kessler's expendable, but I don't know their final decision, and I think everyone's sort of wondering as well, probably including the Lakers.
It would seem like if they decided that Kessler is a part of their future and they bring him back, then they would have in mind down the line, as you said, not necessarily for this year, but down the line, they'd have to get rid of one of the other guys, and maybe that could possibly be in their mindset that we'll hold on to this for a couple years and then move one of the higher priced guys, which is difficult, but I think as we've seen is doable. I guess the thought being that maybe that they think that is plausible, or they just let him go. It seems like those are the options.
Yeah, I mean the Jazz have control, so it's a position of strength. It's their decision, and you're absolutely right where they could say, like, let's just keep him. We'll pay whatever it ends up being. It may be very expensive, and then they have the options because we don't really know. The Jazz don't. No one really knows what this team is and what they look like and how it all fits together. You have the kid they drafted in Peterson, who's a nice, really exciting young guard. Does that backcourt with those big guys, including Kessler, jump the team forward from being like, and obviously they were lousy this last year, but it kind of seemed intentionally lousy.
Right.
So, this team could jump not just to play-in, but even to playoffs. We don't know how good Minnesota's going to be. I don't think they're catching up to the Thunder or the Spurs, but the Nuggets we're still waiting on. What are they going to be? But the Jazz can make a run, and I'm not saying it's a run to the finals or anything like that, but they could be a serious team. And with that in mind, wouldn't you want good players? And obviously, if the Lakers did a sign and trade, or some other team did a sign and trade, you're going to get something back. But there's like a Dalton Connect, move the needle. They've already had Jared Vanderbilt. I don't know that he helps. I don't know that the Lakers are giving away their first round picks. It may be more of a test and a push. Maybe it's better for them to just push a higher number onto Kessler. These are all things that we don't know, and we'll know soon, probably within a week. We may have an answer, but it's really up to the Jazz to decide what is in their best interest. I'm out of LA. Laker fans want what Laker fans want. It's not Jazz can't care about that. They can't even focus on what the Jazz fans want because they have to make the best decisions as a whole, regardless of what the fans want. They have to make the best decisions for the team. So, this isn't for Kessler. This isn't for any fans of any. This is the Jazz making the best decision on what they think leads to the best team. And that could mean letting Kessler go and not tying up that money, or it could mean that, put him down, whatever that number ends up being. They have the leverage, and then in a year's time or 2 years' time, whatever, when the money starts to get really crunchy, then you have to make difficult decisions. Make them when you have to make them, not now where, yes, you have to make a decision on Kessler, but it doesn't have to be, we're not going to pay him now because we'll have a problem later.
For the team that doesn't get Walker Kessler, whether the Jazz or the Lakers, and I liked what you said about the Pistons, they're looking to add something. I don't know that they have to add one specific thing. They need to get stronger somewhere. And obviously they had a bunch of money to go after Reeves, and then they didn't get him. Reportedly, it was them who really put the screws to the Lakers and made that number get really big really fast. So who's to say they won't do that again to somebody, and maybe they are one of the teams in on Kessler. But these teams that don't get him, where do they pivot? Who are the next guys and what do they cost? Because there's always that thing, hey, we might only get 70 or 80% of the player, but if we get him for 40 or 50% of the money in a salary cap world, that might be a bonus.
Right. Well, free agency has evolved in the NBA, and in the most recent collective bargaining agreement, the NBA and the NBPA, that's the agent side of it, they made it easier to make trades and easier to make extensions. It might be I don't know. Enough time has passed where the Gordon Hayward thing is really, Jazz losing Hayward because they couldn't extend him. That rule has more or less been adjusted, and so it's easier to make extensions now. And that means free agency, because more players are extending or more players are traded. It's easier to get things done without going to free agency. The next best players that are available, probably Mitchell Robinson, just won a championship. The Knicks probably can't afford him. Challenge with Mitch is that he gets hurt a lot. He is a reserve and doesn't start. Historically, he plays a limited number of games, limited number of minutes. Same thing with Robert Williams III, who is really nice player in the playoffs, has experience. He's somebody who is going to help any team. However, same issue, barely plays, the kind of guy you want to just make sure he's healthy when the time comes and can help you. And he was really positive for the Blazers. There's vets like Vucevic. There's a guy, John Collins, who's not really a center. He's more of a power forward. I wouldn't want him as my center per se, but in a pinch he could certainly play that. Mo Wagner may leave Orlando instead of staying in his brother's shadow. But Andre Drummond. You know what I mean? Like the list starts to get Marvin Bagley, more of a power forward. Jock Landale. It's not like a great market, and we may find like there's another trade to be had with some other center who needs to relocate, but. It is not, this robust market of, there's these incredible, players. But there's one other guy I'll mention, try not to say it, Mammoth Kavili. I've been saving it because I'm not great at pronouncing his last name. And he's more of a power forward who can play some center, but he's somebody who's a good option, I think, for the Lakers as well. Or anybody who just needs he's a good scorer, he's tough, he's physical, thought he had a good year. So there's guys out there, Kevon Looney, there's guys, but there's no one on the other than Duren, other than someone stealing Duren. Those are the two mainline dudes who can start for you, who can do a lot. And Kessler is even a question mark, missed almost all of last year, but you're assuming that he's well past that injury.
How about the Lakers and LeBron? Obviously the Warrior thing has been heating up, and what do you think is going to happen there relative to the money that they're going to offer and what he's looking for?
Well, I don't think they can go back to LeBron at $50 million because all these conversations we're having, basically evaporate if they're paying LeBron that full money. They're paying Austin, they're paying Luka. They don't really, they have Ayton. There's just not a lot of money on their books outside, I guess, Vanderbilt. But if you put it all together with LeBron at $50 million, then there is no real chasing of Kessler and all these other things. So I think plan A, B, C for the Lakers is to find a way to upgrade properly around Luka Doncic. Like what he does is, he's a creating guard / forward, and you have Austin Reeves, who's a creator, creating his own shot, creating shots for others. That's what Luka does. Now you put in LeBron, and you're adding another creator who can score and create shots for others. And so, like, it kind of works. They got to the second round, although Luka wasn't healthy. But it's duplication at that role, whereas they don't have anything else in the other roles. Like, you need shooters, you need athletes, you need defenders, you need size. They have so many needs. And if they put all of that into LeBron, that's a problem. So if it's not 50, what's that number? And if the Warriors can only offer up to 15, can the Lakers offer 20, and that's enough for LeBron? And can they go spend on Kessler and or Duren or other guys and still have $20 million and pay LeBron $20 million? And it gets really dicey and really difficult really quickly. They start to potentially lose others like Rui Hachimura, who could leave, Luke Kennard. You start going down the list. Sounds like they're going to lose Marcus Smart. So, I personally, I'm not in charge. But if it were up to me, I would move on from LeBron. As incredible as he's had a career, as incredible he is as a, he's a star. He's still at 40, almost 42. He's still arguably the biggest or one of the biggest stars in the NBA. So I get it's not an easy decision, but it's you have Luka. You need to build around Luka the best way possible, and I don't think that coincides with LeBron. And you just have to put aside the emotion and the legacy and all of that, and just accept like this team is really, really good, but not like great. Like they're a good team, they're a second round team. They're not going to be much more than that. So why run in place with LeBron when you really should be trying to build something that could be more than just a good team and maybe a great team? Not saying they'll get to a great team, but from the motivation point, that's what they should be striving for.
The goal should always be to chase the championship, but that can't be a next year thing for a lot of teams. That has to be more of a 2, 3, 4 years. There's just too much to be done. So the next thing in the West seems to be, well, get out of the play-in, get to the top 6, avoid Oklahoma City and San Antonio in the first round, and don't mess around with the play-in, have some days off, and get your guys healthy. Denver's been living in that space. The Lakers, Rockets, and Wolves were there this past year. Who do you think is falling out of that space? Who is moving in? If the Warriors get LeBron, could they move into that space? Do you see a world where the Jazz could or somebody else? Portland and Phoenix were 7th and 8th in the regular season. They didn't miss by much. Who's in the top 6 in the West? And I know you got to project here because rosters aren't set.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the challenge is, of course, health, and not everyone's going to be healthy, and that's where Luka wasn't healthy, KD, and you start going down the list of other guys who were Steph not being healthy, all that kind of stuff, Jimmy Butler. But let's say health, and so OKC, San Antonio are the top two, and so we have room for four. If I were to say today, based on what we know, it's the Rockets are in there. They're going to get Fred VanVleet back healthy and Adams, and they're already a very, very solid team. Imperfect, no doubt. All these teams are imperfect. I'd be curious about the Suns. I think they have a shot. I'm not sold yet on what the Timberwolves are pivoting to with LaMelo Ball. Like, it could work and it could be spectacular. I'm not sold on it. The Warriors with LeBron, yeah, I mean, I'm going to say that obviously they're older and they're not healthy right off the bat. With Jimmy, are they also trading for Anthony Davis? But let's put them at the 6-7, maybe higher. I think the Clippers are going down. I don't necessarily trust anyone else to climb. So, with Jokic being Jokic, and I don't know what else they do because I don't know if it matters. Like, just having Jokic probably puts them in that top 6. So, Lakers – today we can't say that because we don't have enough information. So, if they get Kessler and round out the rest of the roster, sure, they'd be in that mix. I don't really understand Ja Morant in Portland, and maybe there's another move coming. They have a bunch of guys who need the ball and who are not nearly as effective without the ball, like Damian Lillard and Ja Morant, and then and Scoot Henderson, who needs the ball, and then not alone. Drew Holiday can play without it. Shaedon Sharpe, like there's so many guys who are either point guards or need the ball to. So I'm not sold. I'd say Phoenix, Warriors. The point is, if you're a Utah fan, if it all comes together, it all clicks, and that team is healthy, and they make a few more good decisions, and Peterson is, let's say, anywhere close to Derek Harper, then, or did I say Derek? Dylan. Wait, I get so confused with so many Harpers. Dylan Harper. His dad. I watched him play. But yeah, the Jazz could reasonably make a run. I wouldn't say like today that they're going to be top 6 because it's just too much of an unknown, but are they in that top 10? They should be. And then from there, it's like, yeah, like if you're close, this team, I really like Keontae. He's a lot of fun. You have this young guard and you have the size. Obviously we don't know what it looks like yet, but Utah is in that mix to grow. Other teams, Dallas, New Orleans, I don't know what these teams are going to be. Maybes. But yeah, I'm excited to see it. And the Clippers may trade Kawhi, and who the heck knows? So it's a fun time. This is the best time of year for me. This is my busiest time and the most fun outside of the games.
He's Eric Pincus, national NBA writer for Bleacher Report. You can read his stuff there. Eric, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
All right, anytime. Thanks for having me.
There's Eric Pincus. When we come back, Brandon Huffman talking college football recruiting, Utes and Cougars. Stay with us. DJ and PK brought to you in part by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 1-855-TRAJAN1 or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. I bet there are a lot of people who work at Trajan Wealth who would like to know how the recruiting is going for Utah and BYU. And fortunately, we have Brandon Huffman here, national recruiting analyst for On3.com and Rivals, to talk about exactly that topic. Brandon, good morning.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. We are curious how the Utes and Cougars are doing. It'd be easy to ask you who the best recruit they got is, but maybe there's one that maybe surprised you more, or you think is more undervalued, someone that they should be excited about that they don't necessarily know about because they're not sitting on the most stars and haven't been talked about since they were, 15 or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I would say each school has a guy like that. I really like what Utah has done, coming out to the state of Arizona, where I now live, and getting a commitment from Jonah Lubno, who is a quarterback. I got a chance to see him play back in October. I mean, he's 6'3", 215 pounds, and kind of was a late emerger. Most of his recruiting attention had come from the Big Sky, but there's a guy who's 6'3", 215, and he's running an 11 flat 100-meter time, so he's a big athlete. Wasn't blessed with enormous amounts of skill position talent, and Utah kind of played the long game, obviously understanding that Brody Rudnicki, who they had targeted, was going to serve his mission and wouldn't be a 28. So they made sure that they got a 27, and they got Lubno, who's a big athletic guy who can run, which I know Utah is looking for in a quarterback. They want somebody that can get around and move out of the pocket. But now if you can get it from a guy who's 6'3", you're absolutely going to take somebody like that. And then I think on the BYU side of things, I really like Titan DeJong. I think he could play a number of positions. I think he's just a football player. And I think that's one of those phrases that, I throw around when a guy is, you put him in a position, he's going to make a play, whether it's on offense, whether it's on defense, but he's just a guy that's a football player. So I think from a value standpoint of a couple of guys that aren't necessarily rated super high, those are guys that I think are going to do some damage for the Utes and the Cougs respectively.
For 20-some years under Kyle Whittingham, they had a pattern of recruiting, right? Wasn't necessarily the highest-ranked kids, but they'd come in, be tough-minded, get better, and go on to the NFL, many of them. We've seen that. And now, obviously, he's gone. Morgan Scalley is somewhat of a disciple of Kyle Whittingham. Just from a general overview, has the recruiting changed much at all, or anything that you've noticed that is different? Or is it more of the same? They still get those same types of players? Because it seems here of late they've been getting a bunch of commitments.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because we were just having this conversation up at the opening finals this weekend that nobody has consistently made recruiting sites look bad than Utah. They go get a player that nobody knows of, or that they beat out maybe some, G5 schools for, and then they develop that guy into a draft pick, or they develop that guy into a conference player of the year. And so I think that that's what Utah's always going to do better than just about anybody in the country, is evaluate and develop. And I think that even though there's been a changing of the guard from a staff point of view, I don't think that that's going to change from a mentality point of view. I think that's at times you see, there's exceptions like a Kirby Smart and a Dan Lanning, a couple of defensive guys who, have the resources available and the draw nationally to go get elite classes. Nick Saban did as well. But I think a lot of defensive coaches, they want to win with an identity. They want to win with toughness. And they're going to go find guys that fit what they want to do schematically and aren't necessarily the guys that have the most stars, that aren't ranked the highest. But they're going to be guys that they know fit into this program. And, I look at a couple of defensive linemen that they've got. Guy like Tiki Teeples, Jack Henderson, where Utah was Jack Henderson's lone Power 4 offer. I think Tiki Teeples had maybe one other Power 4 offer, and it came from Oklahoma State early on. Then Utah offered. Then a couple of the Big 12 schools started to get involved, but Utah was one of the first schools in on him. Well, where has Utah consistently and traditionally done the best job of not just evaluating, but then developing? It's been on the defensive line. So these guys are kind of, boilerplate for what Utah has done so well, going back to Kyle Whittingham's, when he really took off in the Pac-12. And I think that's going to continue under Morgan Scalley. They want to beat you up front. They want to beat you with guys that are bigger, stronger, tougher. And I think that none of that's going to change, because that's kind of the mentality that Morgan Scalley wants his team to have. And I think there's two guys in this class that kind of speak to that.
Over the time Kyle was here, we got used to exactly what you said as far as the line of scrimmage. The secondary was always really good. Over time, he upgraded the linebackers and the tight ends. Running backs were usually really good. There were two positions he struggled to recruit. One was quarterback, one was wide receiver. Now, quarterback got better. They got 2 really good years out of Huntley, and he started for 3. And they got 2 good years out of Cam, and he was hurt 3 other years. And they just got a good year out of Dampier in the transfer portal. So quarterback was getting up to speed, and you've addressed that a little bit with the kid they signed out of Arizona. Wide receiver never got figured out. Is there any sign that Morgan will recruit wide receiver differently and better, or should we just think, hey, the acorn didn't fall far from the oak, and you're not going to be perfect, so that's just going to be a bit of a struggle there, but they're going to be good at a lot of other positions?
No, that's actually a great segue, because one of the commitments that they got on Monday was from Darnell Jackson out of Texas, a speed guy. I mean, a guy that can flat out run, 5'11", 165 pounds, but he's got some juice, he's got some acceleration, and I think that that's the kind of player that if you're Utah, you want. You want a guy that's going to be able to stretch the field. You want a guy that can give you options rather than maybe getting a bunch of possession receivers, guys that are going to move the chains, guys that are really good at downfield blocking to allow you to run the ball, but you need some weapons that are going to be able to stretch the field and get separation and allow you to go vertical. I think if you look at the Big 12 and how it's been, clear in the last couple of years that, you've got to be able to have some offense in order to compete in the conference. If you can add some speed, and I think this is where Utah already having a tie into the state of Texas well before they joined the Big 12, again, pays off going down into Texas to get Jackson. But then they also have a Dylan Sykes, a bigger receiver out of Southern California. They got Jackson Nikahu from right there in their backyard at Davis High School, who is another kid that can run. He's not the biggest. He's about 5'11", 185, but he can run too. So I think that there has been a kind of a clear expression of desire to get speed at the receiver positions. And, they're not going to go away entirely and become this, air raid, run and shoot offense like we saw in the 90s and the 2000s in college football. But they're going to be adding a lot more passing to the offense. But I still think at the end of the day, again, most defensive coaches, they want to win by just punishing you at the line of scrimmage. And that means they want to run the ball down your throat 80% of the time if they can. However, you've got to have some diversity in the offense from a scheme standpoint. And so I think that that's been a clear addressing by Utah this cycle, and I think it's being met.
Who's doing well recruiting-wise in the Big 12?
I mean, the easy answer is always going to be Texas Tech, because I think they're recruiting with a completely different set of circumstances in their favor. And I think that they're, obviously it doesn't hurt that they won last year. It doesn't hurt that they've got the resources to do so. But I also think what helps them is even before it became clear that they had the resources at their leisure is that Joey McGuire, being a head coach in the state of Texas as a high school head coach, gave him connections everywhere. So, they're one of those schools, though, that they're not just recruiting well from a conference standpoint. They're the only Big 12 school right now that is currently finding themselves in the top 25 and even the top 30 nationally until you get down to Kansas State. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Texas Tech is becoming a bigger name brand. It sure seems like we've spent this entire offseason talking about Texas Tech in some capacity, whether it was Braden Sorsby, whether it was Joey McGuire, whether it was Cody Campbell, whoever it is. But these kids are seeing that Texas Tech made it to the playoffs last year. They just saw one of their players get drafted in the second round, even though he's technically a Stanford grad, in David Bailey. But they're also seeing that Texas Tech has the resources, which is driving a lot of recruits' interest in the Red Raiders. So I think they're just on a different level right now because they've got a lot of things working in their favor, to catch my drift.
Brandon Huffman joined us, national recruiting analyst for On3.com and Rivals. Brandon, I can't believe PK has restrained himself. This is so much discipline and poise from PK. You brought up kids leaving Arizona. He went to Arizona State. We've been doing this show literally for decades, and he's always said the Arizona schools struggle to bring kids home. This transfer window's helping them bring kids back. They're getting a little bit there. Do you think these coaching staffs, who both had a little early success here, are going to be able to keep kids home and sustain it? Or between 115-degree days and a lack of NIL money, is it a real uphill battle for these two? Or do you think they're making headway?
Yeah, it's funny. I think there's two answers to that question. I think both are very dissimilar to each other despite sharing the state. I think with Arizona, that's a basketball school. It's always going to be a basketball school, and that's going to be what the priority of the athletic department is going to be. And I'm not to say that Arizona basketball is going to spend as much as Arizona football is, but if you're a big-name elite basketball player, Arizona is going to appeal to you because you're going to get developed, you're going to get drafted, and you're probably going to get paid handsomely to go there. Whereas Arizona football, Brent Brennan is more salt of the earth type of guy. Not to say Tommy Lloyd isn't, I don't know him, but I've known Brent Brennan a long time since he was receivers coach at San Jose State. And they've done a really good job of focusing in Southern California, where Brent Brennan recruited heavily when he was at San Jose State and at Oregon State. But they're going to try to recruit some of the local kids. It's just they've got to go into the bigger metro area, which is right there in Arizona State's backyard. I think the flip side to that is Kenny Dillingham sits on kind of a landmine, or a gold mine in Arizona, especially being in the greater Phoenix area. But like you said, these kids have this desire to go national. They see the ability to go and play on the national stage. And I think you look at, the class this year, the top 10 players in the state, a number of them had Arizona State offers, but Will Mensel, who is in Chandler, goes to Oregon. You've got Noah Roberts, who plays at Basha High School, the state champion. He goes to Texas. Now, they did get a gigantic win in landing Jake Hildebrand, who's the top offensive lineman in the state. He spurned Utah and Texas Tech to go to Arizona State and stay home. But he's a little bit more of an anomaly. And Arizona State does this thing called the Golden Ticket, where the first day that they're, wink, wink, legally allowed to communicate with underclassmen is when they offer the local kids. And it's kind of a double-edged sword. By maybe playing by a set of rules that Herm Edwards and his staff didn't. It hurts them, but at the same time, it allows other schools to throw out an offer earlier. Now you're the 35th offer for a kid from Phoenix rather than the first offer for a kid from Phoenix. So I think, Dillingham has kind of made it clear he wants to recruit locally, but if these kids are going to be a little bit unobtainable, then he'll go into Texas. They've had a really good pipeline into the state of Texas in the last couple of years, and they've recruited, outside of the state of Arizona, and then they're kind of the rebound. If it doesn't work out for you nationally, when you go somewhere else, you're going to have a home here at Arizona State. And so he makes sure not to kind of, torch those relationships, but give those guys an opportunity. If it doesn't work out, you can always come home.
Brandon, we really appreciate you joining us, and this interview isn't over yet, but I want to establish some groundwork going forward. We never on this show, as an Arizona State grad, say the name Herm Edwards. If you must say it, it is preceded by an expletive, and you know the expletive, so we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, it's a holy day. I didn't want to use it on, and I didn't want to get banned from the show.
So those are the ground rules going forward as a loyal Sun Devil. How much has the transfer portal changed high school recruiting?
I get that question every single year because you see the tweets that the transfer portal is killing high school recruiting. I don't think that's true because the reality is these guys have to come from somewhere, right? I think what it's done is it's 100% sped up the recruiting process. Now, obviously, we used to be in an era where the first Wednesday of February was signing day. Then it scooted to the third week in December to be the first day that you could sign. Now it's the first Wednesday in December that could actually put pen to paper. But tomorrow, July 1st, it's kind of the unofficial signing day. I mean, Rivals is doing a summer signing day show because 90% of classes are going to be done by tomorrow. These schools want their heavy lifting done. They want to be able to go to the lake or the river or the beach in July before they get back in time for fall camp. All the camps are over. The dead period's in place. So I think that schools want the majority of their roster or their recruiting class done so that way those personnel directors can spend the entire fall watching college football games around the country, and especially, the G5 level or the FCS level, and find out who are the guys that we want in the portal when they come. Now we're seeing that the portal is opening a day earlier this year. It's going to, as I saw last week, it's going to be voted on, but now it looks like it's going to open on January 1st as opposed to January 2nd. And instead of it being a 15-day window, it's going to be a 10-day window. So it's going to make the urgency that much greater. But the reality is all it's doing is it's making better recruiting classes for G5 schools, for FCS schools, for Division II and Division III. I mean, Trinidad Chambers, y'all saw it, take him to his team to the semifinals last year. He was a Division II quarterback out of high school. What's happening now is that those smaller schools are getting better players out of high school because instead of signing 25 guys in a class, schools might sign 18 guys in a class. Well, that means the trickle-down effect is now allowing for better classes. The problem is those FCS schools are only going to get that kid for 2 years instead of 4 years like they used to. If you watch the division or the FCS national championship game last January, I think Twitter was mostly abuzz about saying, oh, well, this running back's going to look really good at, this Power 4 school next year. Oh, this quarterback is going to be awesome as the starter at this Power 4 school. You're even seeing, P4 schools dealing with that. I mean, how many times last year would I watch a Cal game and you'd see Twitter saying, oh, the next Miami quarterback, Jaron Chiave-Songapolatelli, having a great night tonight in this ACC After Dark. So the portal has certainly allowed for schools that have done a terrible job of evaluating and an even worse job of developing get bailed out by getting a player that somebody else evaluated and was able to develop. But the reality is, without schools shutting down their football programs, those schools are still having to sign players. So recruiting, it's just moved the calendar a little bit. It's moved the goalposts a little bit, and it's recalibrated the expectations of maybe that next tier of player who in the old days might have been a late add to a class. He might be going down a level to start.
Brandon, we appreciate the time, the perspective, and all the energy. Just remember the Herm Edwards rule when we have you back on.
Noted, and will never happen again.
There's Brandon Huffman from On3.com recruiting. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next. A busy, busy day in the NBA. LeBron and Kawhi leaving L.A. Stay with us.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NBA.
When in a position to try to help better our team, to try to help better this organization, bringing my number down has allowed us to explore a little bit more, to help the books a little bit more. I am always intrigued by that route. So opting out, I think for us, it gives optionality.
Draymond Green on opting out of his contract with Golden State. How about that for a big word? Move over, Charles Barkley.
Optionality?
Optionality. He's right. It does give optionality.
To whom?
Everybody. I mean, I suppose he could take off and go somewhere else, but I don't think he's going to. Yeah. I think it's mostly for the Warriors.
Yeah.
Hey, my number can go wherever to accommodate whatever it is you're trying to do.
Well, if they don't sign Davis somehow, then he can just re-sign if he wants the one-year deal for the price that he opted out of.
Optionality, baby. That's one of the options.
Yeah, but it's more about the team. Or get the more money, less, what do they call that, AAV? Which I don't even know what that stands for.
Average annual value. It's a big hockey
money
thing.
Guy.
Yeah.
So instead of, if you would offer just a little slower price, I would change financial advisors.
You would not. Nor would you be wise to do that. You just keep doing what you're doing.
No.
I'll mess everything up.
You've got the mind, man.
I know just enough to mess everything up.
I've said this for years. Your business mind is light years ahead of mine.
Yeah, but you're paying somebody else who's light years in front of me.
Yeah, but I'd be paying him less, so I might, again, it might be better AAV.
Oh, man. We're all intrigued to see what the Warriors do, because now we know LeBron James is not going back to L.A. This feels a little bit like, you always like to cite that example where the Bulls hired a coach and ended up impacting Utah State. We can feel the vibrations, the reverb coming off of that decision. Okay, now the Lakers don't have to hold on to $25 million worth of cap room for LeBron. They can just maybe go get somebody for 15, and that means they got more money to chase a center, whether they steal the Jazz center or they steal the Pistons center. Duren, Kessler, whatever. Now, instead of averaging or offering 32, they could offer 37 or 38.
A little bit of conversation that I've had, not much, but a little, that they might like, for Jazz fans, this might be good news, Duren better. But then Detroit may just say, screw that, man, we're matching it.
Right. Do they like Duren better, or do they like Duren's signability better? Both?
I think both.
Yeah.
Well, no, I take that back. They would like him and feel better about giving him the bigger money, but they may back the Jazz into a corner, which obviously we'll be discussing this morning.
Yes, that is absolutely a possibility. I think, and we can get into this later, I think that what you want, I've been bringing up get a veteran guard, and you're like, sure, that could win some games, but I'd rather see what the young guys can do. Don't take the ball out of their hands. Let's put them in that moment and see what they're up for. I think that scenario is going to look a lot more attractive to the Jazz now that we know how much they spent to get Nurkic instead of going out and get somebody at $4 million. He's at, I think, 11. And we know they've got to pay Peterson the $13.5 million. And now if Kessler's number isn't going to be 28 because it's going to be 35 or 37 or 39 or whatever it turns out to be, the money that I was thinking for the $15 million for a pretty good veteran, now it's more like, well, they're going to bring in somebody on the league minimum. Now, is that going to be a veteran? Is that a Joe Ingles type? They got their eye on some 27-year-old who's been in Europe who's coming over. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go. Maybe it's somebody who's been bouncing around the league who comes in at, $3 million. But I think the odds of them bringing in someone who's more established at $15 million, not that it would be Jrue Holiday, but, a recognizable name who's been playing a lot of minutes and has had deep playoff runs, somebody like that, I think the odds of that are going down, because the money's getting spent in all these other places. So now LeBron, where to? Got any career advice for him? Golden State? I've heard the whole that personally it's great because 45-minute to an hour flight on a private jet, either for him to get back to the daughter and wife in L.A. or for them to come up to San Francisco, whatever. Other people, the emotion of going back to Cleveland, that's where he started his career. He's an Akron kid, literally. And so the emotion of that, and then there are also people saying, hey, Cleveland's literally the closest to a championship. They were in a conference final. He knows the East is an easier path back to the NBA Finals. And then there's lure of Miami and Giannis, and he's got the relationship with Riley.
Maybe Phoenix, because that's even closer.
Yeah, that's another good point.
His kid's down in Tucson.
I did see a report that he's told Clutch Sports, literally talk to everybody in the league. Anybody who's got a plan, I'm open to plans. Let's whittle them down. There's everything's open. So I guess
we know it's not going to be a quick decision because that takes away the drama, and he likes the drama.
Yep. So the Denver Nuggets should get in line. Hey, go play with the Joker. They need somebody alongside him. You'd have two really high IQ basketball guys on the floor at the same time, making those other three guys, and they seem to struggle getting that right. And the thought that he'd be willing to go for, and I don't know if this is true, but everything's getting thrown out there by people who know people close to LeBron, that, hey, if it's got to be the league minimum, tell me what your situation is. Maybe. I'm not sure any of us are buying that right now. I mean, he'll listen to it, but will he actually do it? Time will tell.
I think the one thing we know, it's not Memphis.
We're ruling out Memphis.
Because he ruled out Memphis.
Are we ruling out the Clippers? Who made their own move, sending Kawhi Leonard to Toronto, and Brandon Ingram, and Grady Dick, and two unprotected first-round picks in 2031 and 2033. It seems like with all the players, it seems like the draft picks could be the most valuable thing, but then I thought, we don't even know what the lottery is going to look like then. So
the Clippers are nowhere near winning at the level he wants to
I think that draft picks are always valuable, and you should be hesitant about trading multiples.
And that was the most valuable thing that changed hands in that massive trade.
I mean, you don't
was the
know,
picks.
but the thing about picks is you don't necessarily have to use the picks. That gives you leverage and assets and value to trade for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
I don't really like giving away a lot of picks.
It is the future.
Ultimately, that's how the Lakers got Magic Johnson.
Right. It doesn't mean you're getting Magic, but...
Right. But it just... Teams want picks, and so if you have somebody your eye on, you could use picks to get that player. Now, essentially, the Jazz did that to an extent to get Jaren Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So picks are valuable, whether you use them or not. And in some cases, they might be more valuable in trade bait rather than holding on to the pick and drafting an average or below average player. You don't know.
But that thought is tantalizing, so don't deal them. Right. And the Blazers just dealt them.
That's always been my philosophy.
So more than Kawhi, who's 35 and often hurt, more than Brandon Ingram, who I think would be David Locke's worst nightmare when he was talking about A.J. DeBonsa. You're long, you're athletic, you can attack the rim, but you don't trust the three, and you're just not going to be very good in the playoffs. Brandon Ingram is going to the Clippers, Grady Dick's going to the Clippers, and then this long list of picks, pick swaps, a couple second-round picks as well. So,
right, and 15 minutes later, I'll forget it. With all those picks, they got to be written down. And since it's teams that I'm not paid to know their picks, it doesn't matter.
2027 first-round pick swap, so they'll have a swap next year. Detroit Pistons get former Jazz man John Collins, 3 years, $51 million. We got to go over there and do long sit-down interviews with them during the opening of training camp, and he was a guy who wasn't here very long, and we didn't have a lot of conversations with him, but that one hit us both as a good one. I always keep an eye on him because now I feel like I have this small connection having talked to him for 15 minutes or 20 or whatever it was.
He's a veteran.
Yep.
He's smart. Went to Wake Forest. Got to be good grades to get there. And he's long. I think it's a nice pickup for Detroit.
Portland re-ups Robert Williams III. If you thought he was a fallback plan, and we had guests on consecutive days bring that up, Steve Cleveland brought that up Monday. Nope. Multi-year contract extension for the Blazers and Robert Williams III. They're going to keep him.
Well, I know Robert Williams IV and V are happy.
You're right about that. The NBA has received finalized bids for more than 20 groups vying to participate in NBA Europe. The European Basketball League plans to launch in October 2027. They're going to have 12 permanent franchises. Big markets, probably big soccer clubs owning them that have super deep pockets. And then they're going to let 4 teams play their way in every year and have a 16-team league over there. So NBA Europe, a step closer. They announced
to me,
cities.
that just seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah. NBA announced that the NBA Cup Final will be played at Hinkle Fieldhouse at Butler University.
Can't wait. Can't wait, man. Hope it's the Jazz, and I hope I get to go.
You ever go to Butler Fieldhouse?
No.
Classic old building?
I've been to Indiana, but I've just driven through Indianapolis. I have spent 0 time there. Literally drove through.
I was there, and I was there for college hoops, but it wasn't at Butler, so didn't get to go. DJ PK.
Hashtag NFL.
Former Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby backed off the threat of suing the NFL over not holding the supplemental draft. Instead, he's going to enter the 2027 NFL draft. The NFL is reportedly not going to punish him for his past gambling behavior, but reserves the right to punish him if he has any future issues.
No, I read the statement, and that's the way to go. He was just in written form. I got caught, and it was out of control. Own it. Work at it. Get the help you, whatever type of help you need. I mean, how would have things, and we don't know because it's over now and he's dead, but how would have things changed for Pete Rose if he would have owned it at the start? Instead of constantly fighting when the evidence was overwhelming.
Telling people they were wrong when they full well knew they were right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because you're treating people like they're stupid, and that just gets their back up, and they're going to dig their heels in.
Right. And having been around gamblers, that's the way they act. No. And I looked them in the eye and, no, you're lying to me. I know it. I've been there. I've been in that in my own home as a kid. I've seen it. And I just think this is the way to go. Come clean. Everybody, if you come clean,
people will stop jumping up and down on you usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're, a mass shooter or something, something like this. Okay, son, you made mistakes. What can we do to rectify it? You've come clean. I don't see where people are going to say, screw you, you should be banned forever.
And that's not the way the NFL does it. It is the way Major League Baseball does it, but it's not. NFL has had a history of gambling scandals going back our entire lifetime, and 1 year tends to be the penalty. And now he's essentially going to sit out a year. So that's it. And then, like you said, get the help you need. Don't do it again. Straighten things up there. Be ready for the draft in 27 and onward and upward. You could still have a good NFL career.
I hope he does.
Tyreek Hill's working his way back from a torn ACL, dislocated knee that he suffered last season, expected to garner interest from multiple NFL teams who want an infusion of speed at wide receiver. So if you're looking a late ad for your favorite team on the open market, keep an eye on Tyreek Hill.
Comes with a price, though.
It usually does, yes. He's probably not going to be happy for long. It will be interesting to see if there's enough to get him a big deal. This one might be a little bit. He's been very well paid. This one might be a little bit of a discount until people can see, because it's not just the torn ACL; it's also a dislocated knee. I wonder if he'll play 1 year for less money and then try to hit the mark in a year. That could be a big deal. You only have him for 1 year. You don't have to worry about the multi-year distractions, and it's an open market next year, and everyone can decide about big money and multi-years then. But maybe somebody up the ante. We'll find out here shortly. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Hit a high ball. Right field. Si, senor. Alvarez launches one deep to right center field into the bullpen, and it's 6-3 just like that.
Tommy Edman hitting right-handed. Swings and hits the ball well to center field. Going back on his Bolte. Still going back. He looks up. It's gone off the batter's eye. A home run for Tommy Edman. It's a 3-run shot, and the Dodgers now lead it 5-1.
And the Dodgers go on to win 9-3. They beat the Athletics in Sacramento, and they're tweaking the pitching rotation, PK. No Shohei Ohtani tonight. They may not need him. They're going to push him back to Friday, so it's Sasaki and then Ohtani and then Yamamoto. I forget who's pitching the fourth game, but they got 4 games at home with the Padres coming up.
Matsui? Keeping with the
Keeping
Asian
the
team?
theme.
Japanese team?
Yeah. 2 days of extra rest. Dave Roberts said it was a no-brainer. No reason to throw them in Sacramento. They got the best record in the bigs. Dave Roberts got win number 1,000. Fastest to 1,000. 1,606 games.
Huh.
Probably not going to come anywhere near the record. It's over 3,000.
Who knew with that team?
With that team, that he could pile up wins quickly?
Speaking of pile up wins, you know the Florida or Miami Marlins, they were 20-6 in June, because now we're July 1st. Mm-hmm. And they're the first team to enter a calendar month ever. And baseball has been around for 1,000 years. 8 games under 500. And leave the month 6 games over 500. That's a nice month.
A little oddity there, but that's a big turnaround.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of that this year. And did you check their schedule? Because you came up with this with the Diamondbacks, and then I've been looking at different teams as they get hot. And it largely is, if you can get games against the bottom quarter, third of Major League Baseball, you can go on a tear.
The Diamondbacks are the ultimate fraud.
I think they're the ultimate middle-of-the-pack team. But go with fraud.
No.
Why fraud?
Because they are 10 games below 500 against everybody not named the San Francisco Giants or Colorado Rockies. They are 13-2 against them.
So it's not really even the bottom quarter or bottom third of the league. It's 2 specific teams they're beating the snot out of.
They're 8-0 against the Giants. They're 20-30, I think it is, against everybody else.
Yeah.
Maybe 30-40, and 13-2 against those 2 crappy teams. That is the ultimate fraud. It is.
Yeah, that is.
Look, I watch them every night.
Yeah, I trust you. I'm just assimilating this, all of this. Yeah, that's remarkable. And because there are other bad teams, and why aren't they beating up 5, 6, 7 bad teams? Because that's largely what I'm finding. That is very specific. That is just 2 teams.
Now the good news, if they should face either of those teams in the playoffs.
I think the playoffs are going to be Giant free. I'm sorry to say to the Giant fans in my family, but I think they're already. I think they've already assessed the situation too, and they're looking forward to 49er season. The Yankees have now lost 6 in a row. Only 16 hits over the last 5 games, which is the fewest in a 5-game span in franchise history. 126 years of Bronx Bomber baseball. And they have never swung the bat so poorly.
So that flips the question. Are you surprised they're this bad without Aaron Judge?
No, it's all coming back to me now. I said
this joke's never going to die.
They're now 12-11. Makes total sense. They have been a 96. They've had a 96 win pace when he's been in the lineup since 2020, and 86 when he's been out. So 12-11, they're a little more
down
who they're supposed
4-0
to
in
be.
the top of the first.
Yeah. And they're not hitting a lick right now. Now he's not the only guy who's missed time this year. Stanton is still on the injured list.
He's always
Grisham,
Stanton
McMahon,
is the Embiid of MLB.
Bellinger is 2 for 27 over the last 8 games, so that's part of why things. And he didn't have they gave him the night off against Skubal, so didn't make him go left on left when he's struggling. Bees lost to the Aviators 10-6. Game 2 at the ballpark at America First Square. First pitch 6:35. 6:20. Tony Parks will be on the air on 12.
And the Bees,
zone.
the halfway point is here, and they led the league in walks in the first half.
Yes, they sent out a big release yesterday. We both read all of that. Did you watch any of that Padres-Cubs game yesterday?
Yes, I did.
The wind blowing out at Wrigley, did that remind you of your youth and watching home runs fly out of there when you and your mom would watch games? Mm-hmm. That was 9 home runs yesterday. Mm-hmm. Cubs outslugged the Padres 5-4 in homers and won the game 9-7. And the Cubs have now won 8 out of 9 and 10 out of 12. They're hot.
And it's really cool the Cubs win, but it's actually a pregame song. Because if you look at the lyrics, it's Cubs. They're going to win today, but they play it after the game.
Just because it's a happy song and they just won.
Right, but they should tweak the lyrics.
Yeah.
Instead of...
It needs to go past tense.
Yeah, we won.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool that they do that. And I watched it. I watched it last night. Sure, I got the.
You like that better as a going out of the ballpark song, or do you like Sinatra leading Yankee Stadium? Well, I would think Sinatra because you love Sinatra, but you got these memories of watching games at home as a kid. So I don't know.
It's not.
Although maybe you watched Yankee Stadium as going out as a kid too. So it's
not
both.
Watching Sinatra or love Sinatra.
Let's watching baseball.
Genuflecting.
Oh, okay.
You got to understand the status that he holds. I've never lived in a house in which his picture has not been prominently displayed.
And was it your dad introduced Sinatra to your mom? Was that the moment?
They went to a concert at the Garden afterward, and Frank was eating at Jilly's afterward. And my father went up to him and said, Mr. Sinatra, I would like to introduce you to my wife. And her name ends in a vowel. And he immediately turned around.
It's not just you with your brushes with greatness. It's your parents with brushes with greatness. It's handed down in your DNA. I don't have brushes with greatness. My parents didn't have brushes with greatness. But you got a million of them.
Yeah, but I think their brushes with greatness in terms of your mother was bearing you.
Oh, okay. There is a clip out there. Have you seen the clip where Sinatra and Rickles are on with Johnny Carson, and Sinatra tells the story about how Don Rickles came over to him and said, "Hey, I'm on a date with whoever. Will you come over and say hi?" To impress whoever. And Rickles says, "Yeah." He goes over and he walks in. "Hey, Don." He goes, "Frank, can't you see I'm eating here?" Totally rips him. Classic. DJ and PK.
Barkala plays it inside to Elise. Back it goes to Barkala. They're in again. It's put in by Mbappe. Brilliant. Unerring skill from Mbappe. And he's chasing down Lionel Messi for this golden boot. 3-0.
Trying to unlock this Ivory Coast defence. And here is Bob. Oh, what a lovely ball that is. Into Berg. Now surely. Of course. The definition of inevitable.
The defenders in trouble. It's going Mexico's way. Raul Jimenez joins in the fun.
Highlights from a fairly predictable day after a wildly unpredictable day. The 3 teams that were supposed to win won yesterday. France with another shutout, the favorites to win it all. Mbappe scores 2 of their 3 goals. They coast to the win over Sweden. The big names delivering a game-winning goal in the 86th minute for Erling Haaland. Kind of an awkward-looking thing, but he got it into the back of the net, and Norway beat Ivory Coast 2-1 as he got them the late game winner. And Mexico, another game, another shutout. They blank Ecuador. They score a couple of early goals and then basically just kill the game off.
Who beat Ivory Coast?
Norway.
Well, that really was ebony and ivory, huh?
Oh, this is what you did there. A little Michael Jackson tune. Sing it. MJ and Paul McCartney, right? 3 fans died from asphyxiation during celebrations of Mexico's win in Mexico City overnight. Crowds out in the streets, I guess. Tragedy striking there. 3 more games today. England, Congo, Belgium, Senegal, and then the United States and Bosnia. Tonight, 6 o'clock on Fox, round of 32. You got a U.S. shirt on right in there, Yak? Is that what you're wearing?
94 replica.
There it is. All right. DJ, PK.
#NHL.
Utah Mammoth signed their newly acquired goalkeeper. They made that trade, sending the 23rd pick in the draft to Detroit for Sebastian Kosa, and they signed him for 2 years and $4 million. He and Vamelka will battle for time on the ice this coming season. NHL free agency opens later this morning. Not considered a really good crop of free agents, but hey, maybe there's a diamond in the rough out there. We'll see what Bill Armstrong does. They got a little bit of money.
I'd prefer a rough than a diamond, though. Hockey players got to be rough.
What is trending is brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. John Brice, College Sports Insider for USA Today, is going to join us coming up at 8:30. Larry the Laker is back. The end of the LeBron James era in L.A. Larry going to be a little salty?
Mm-hmm. I would
He
assume.
didn't really like the LeBron era in L.A.
Wouldn't Kobe.
Right. Nobody's going to be, though. How are they going to? Is Doncic going to be? Kobe's Kobe.
Well,
we can talk to him about that at 9 o'clock.
LeBron could be, yeah. Some people could argue, most folks argue he's better than Kobe.
But Kobe came at the start of his career as a Laker for life, and LeBron came in fourth chapter in his career, way late.
He wasn't a Laker for life. He was a Charlotte Bobcat for life.
Yeah, it was a Charlotte Bobcat for life. So Win Tickets Wednesday, we got tickets to see Post Malone with Jelly Roll and Carter Faith at Rice-Eccles Stadium July 28th. We're going to be giving away those tickets coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. So stick around for that. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome to This is Chase Scott and Ben Anderson.
Covers Kansas for the Kansas City Star. Shreyas Lada, Jazz making the number 2 pick and drafting Darren Peterson. As somebody who's known him for a couple of years, tell us a little bit about what he's all about.
Darren's a little bit of a quieter guy. You're seeing a little more of his personality, his happy-go-luckiness in the last few days, especially with the draft. He's well-liked by his teammates. He has incredible work ethic, big Kobe guy, big movie guy, loves watching movies. Just a guy that I think, on and off the court, the fan base in Utah is going to like quite a bit. Honestly, I think really good basketball fit, but also just good market fit. I think Darren needs to be at a place where the focus should be solely on basketball and not everything else that I kind of think surrounded his long season at Kansas.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
KSL Sports Zone of BI Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer for the BI Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to Jake and Ben for the winner. It's the BI Meals Hero of the Week. Question of the morning. Fresh as the headlines from the last 24 hours. LeBron James leaving Los Angeles for, at this point, parts unknown.
I put up a couple questions. You decided to go with LeBron?
I think that the butterfly effect on LeBron is huge because I think it impacts Walker Kessler.
Well, butterflies are free.
See? But Walker Kessler is not. And now the Lakers aren't going to have to sit on $25 million or whatever they were thinking they were sitting on for LeBron. So the Walker Kessler offer.
Walker Kessler is free to choose.
The Walker Kessler offer, reportedly mid to high 30s. What should the Jazz do?
This is classic. This is what you teach your kids. You're free to choose, but you're not free to choose the consequences of your decision.
See?
And that's exactly what WK has. It did make me a little unnerved when I saw TMZ, who has him walking through the airport. What do you have to say to the Laker fans? I'm here. That's our guy.
Yep.
We've given birth to his NBA career. We've nurtured him.
Yes.
We've fed him.
While it's true that when he says he's here, which is true.
We've cheered for him.
Obviously was.
I joined the credit union because of him.
Shout out UCCU. But does that mean he's staying?
Did you really, though?
He said he's here, but is he staying?
Well, he's there. He's not here.
Right. And he's there for meetings, presumably the teams that are from a third city, not from Salt Lake, not from L.A.
Bountiful?
And then Bountiful got an NBA team? Why weren't we notified?
It's where Sam Merrill's from.
Come and play for the hometown team. Going to put up a big...
He's our guy.
15,000-seat building in Bountiful.
He doesn't belong in another uniform, let alone the purple and gold.
And, of course, as you put out at the end of the question, what should the Jazz do? Doesn't mean he's staying. First off, it doesn't mean he's signing with them. He's there to listen. And now, if he does sign, are the Jazz going to match?
Well, but that doesn't have to just be that, though. Why can't the Jazz say, Walker, come home. You belong here. Mm-hmm. We'll give you 32. Don't sign there for 35. You've been in the league 4 years. We've done nothing but rebuild. The Lakers are nowhere near winning anything, with or without you. Whereas here, we're ready to win. We need you. You've already said, by your own acknowledgement, you've already put out a statement, I love it here. I love the people. I love the fans. I love the players. I love the coaches. You know, the classic, why did you sign with that school? Oh, I love the coaches. I love the teammates. I love the facilities. You know, you get the same answers every time. I've got a great relationship with the position coach, blah, 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 blah.
Write the quote before you even hear it from the kid.
And he said that on his own. And why go there for a few extra million when you come here and you don't even have to be a big time player. You just got to be really good on really good teams and be a good guy in the community, and we'll retire your jersey.
True story.
And that's a fact.
Got a whole wall of jerseys up there at the very top of the arena now.
Yeah, and obviously the statues were going to get theirs retired wherever they went.
Mm-hmm.
But guys like Mark Eaton and Jeff played 6.5 years.
Mm-hmm. That wouldn't have happened with the Celtics. Wouldn't happen with the Lakers. Yeah.
Using the Lakers as the example.
Yep.
And that's great. I don't have any problem with those guys retiring, their jerseys being retired. They were good dudes. Mark unfortunately died. Jeff's still around. And you're darn near worshipped.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's happy to see Jeff when he comes back.
For the rest of your life.
He did some stuff.
Although everyone's happy to see Jeff no matter where he goes.
But
and same for Mark. Both of them were the kind of the same guy.
Yes, you're right.
And
about
I
that.
actually had an opportunity to hang with both of them.
Hang with Mark
after they were done.
Hang with Mark in L.A. Hang with Jeff in Phoenix, and people are going to feel the same way about him.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because Mark did Ute games when they were on K-Jazz, so I had plenty of meals with him.
Yeah,
told me plenty of stories. Jeff, I did television with. I've talked to him even still to this day if I have reason to. Great dudes, two of my favorite guys ever to put on a Jazz uniform, and you can build something here. You know, it's like why they had Stockton get with Hayward. So you could be somebody here. You could build something here. It's freaking why Darren Williams is chowing on a free food on draft night at their headquarters.
Yeah, Darren Williams and Carlos Boozer both been welcome back.
Yeah. And they know where it's good. That's why they're here. And they enjoy being here, especially in the off season. It's a beautiful place. The mountains are incredible, blah, 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 blah.
Well,
if you got to be at the facility at 4 o'clock, you can leave at 3:40.
Yep.
I mean, unless you live downtown L.A., forget that.
Oh, it's a piece of cake to get from Marina Del Rey.
It's a piece of cake to get nowhere.
Exactly. To get from one side of Marina Del Rey to the other. After that, you're in trouble.
Yeah. I would cover Kings and Laker games or Clipper games, leave my place, we had a townhouse, at 4 o'clock.
Because that's how you get to a 7 o'clock game.
Yeah, because I wanted to be there by 6 at the latest. Right? Probably 5:30 so I can, pregame stuff. And from where I lived, it's like 15 miles to either they played in the Forum or the Sports Arena at the time.
Yeah.
Either up to 405 or up to 110.
Yeah, but as soon as you say 405, you're in trouble.
Yeah, but even the 110, the Harbor, that goes straight into downtown. It dumps in Pedro. That, you just, no. There's so much that I think the Jazz need to do. No longer sit back.
Landon says that dude needs to realize how much money it'll cost him to live in L.A. and how much more California will tax him. Oh, I think he's going to realize that. I'm quite certain Austin Ames is going to mention that, unless Jay-Z beats him to it, unless Ryan Smith beats them both to it. That's
I
coming
think his
up.
own financial people will do that.
It's an extra, on the money he's making here, ballpark $35 million, it's probably going to be an extra $3 million in taxes, roughly. So factor that in. And then the other thing is they can front load the deal. Give him his money earlier because the Jazz, the squeeze is down the road more than it is right now. Back to that earlier point, if they're not setting aside $15 million for some veteran guard, which I don't know if they ever were, but I think the way things have broken here in the last few days, that seems
I don't think that's
very
work,
unlikely.
Though.
What?
Front load it.
Well, I think people like to get their money earlier and invest it and make money off their money earlier. I think it's one of the things you do. You point out the taxes, you front load it, you give them that bigger number. Not enough, huh?
Because he's looking at, I'm coming into my own as a player, and in 2 years, I'll be better than I am now. So I'm not going to undervalue myself because you've got a financial crunch.
I don't think it is undervalued. I think what matters is the AAV, as you pointed out.
I just don't see it. It's not their line of thinking. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I want them in a Jazz uniform.
They can only front load it so much. It's like you can knock it down 8% a year, according to the collective bargaining agreement.
And plus it's status, it's ego, it's respect. It's not about the money, it's respect. Vafongor on that. I mean, come on. I mean, it's you got to do that. It is, but I think they need to be proactive instead of you go get what you get and then we'll decide.
Cam says, I'm afraid the Jazz are going to overpay Kessler. Do we really need him to be competitive? I mean, without him, our starting five could be a lot better. I don't think that's true. I don't think the starting five can be a lot better without him.
I think it's potential on the offensive end, but what are you giving up on the other end?
A lot.
And so that's what you have to weigh.
Right. I get he's not part of the sexiest offensive lineup. 100% agree with that.
So I think
but in the long run, what you're going to be asking people to do, and in some of these playoff series you're inevitably going to be involved, well, you hope you're inevitably going to be involved with, you would have a real matchup problem and put you at a major disadvantage. And the guys on the market who could replace him, do they have access to those guys? How quickly are those guys signing and going away? Because there is that argument, hey, this player might only be, he won't give you the rim protection Walker Kessler's, but he's much cheaper, right? You get 80% of the player for 50% of the money.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a savvy, but those guys are already...
Or they just decide that we're going to go with
Nurkic?
A combination of Nurkic, JJ, Flipper, and we'll just roll that way. If
they do that...
Which I can live with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it'd be the first choice, but if push comes to shove, maybe that becomes the best option on the table. In that case, then maybe that veteran guard is back in play because then they'll have the money for that.
But plus they got the mid-level, which they could use that.
Yeah.
So
they can definitely do it. The thing is, the Lakers, I think, are picking a number that doesn't reflect Kessler's value as much as it reflects pushing the Jazz into the luxury tax.
Oh, why would the Lakers be worried about pushing the Jazz
they think
into
that's
the
the one
tax?
Because they think that's the one thing that might make them flinch.
Yeah,
as
but
far as matching.
but that
it might not. The Jazz might just say
your
match.
priority is, do we want Kessler for this? No, I'm not worried about the Jazz because Hatback's got billions. If he wants to go into it, he can. And he'll still be on McAfee every third day if he wants. In fact, he would be on McAfee even more.
And I think the Lakers are fully aware of that. But there is a chance, because there's rules about, without getting way into the collective bargaining agreement, there's rules about how often you can go into the luxury tax. And strategically, do the Jazz want to do it this year or do they want to wait?
But that has nothing to do with the Lakers.
I think it does have to do with the Lakers figuring out what number are the Jazz not going to match and what would make them say, all right, we're not matching. Don't go into luxury tax now.
I think
you're going to need to go into it later.
The Jazz worry about themselves. If you're the Lakers and you believe you're competing with the Jazz, something's wrong. You're going to get run out of town.
They may have decided what you were saying, and that might be part of the pivot to why they're now valuing Durant, is that they're thinking no matter what we do, the Jazz are going to match. This isn't going to work for us, so we're going to prioritize this other guy. And that may be it.
Well, I
that
think
everything
that's
you're
just
saying
as much
could be true.
They match for Durant too.
in which case they need a plan C. And that's the problem with chasing restricted free agents, is that teams are overwhelmingly likely to match. There are occasional stories where they don't, but there are far more stories where they do.
I think they need to do what's in their best interest. And if it's matched, it's matched.
Brad, I really like Walker, and someday he might be worth that much money. Mid to high 30 millions. But right now he's a one-dimensional player. He doesn't deserve that kind of money. He should realize that. Brad?
Whoa.
That's not how it works.
And he should realize that?
Yeah, and one-dimensional?
He's not one-dimensional.
And if someone's going to offer it to you, what are you worried about what you deserve?
Exactly.
If someone's going to offer it to you, the next word tends to be yes.
That's what you're worth. If somebody wants to pay you that, that's what you're worth.
Then that's what you're worth.
And I think he is. Was it Brad? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Underestimating Kessler. Kessler, believe me, I had conversations with Mark Eaton, who he felt he could have been utilized a lot more offensively.
Instead of standing at the top of the three-point line screaming illegal. That stuck in his craw.
I think I can speak for him because he told me. It drove him nuts. But those were the rules then. The rules have changed, thank goodness.
Yep.
And that was
definitely changed for the better.
Oh, yeah.
Let them zone them up if they want. That was the whole thing about the rules. We can't have them playing zone. Why not? You get the best shooters in the world, they'll light a zone up.
Right, and then there's no accountability on rebounding.
Yeah.
Because you're guarding an area. It's not my guy. Joe didn't box him out, not me.
And they were all playing zones anyway.
That's why Majerus never went with zone.
Right.
Or
it's
if
a much
he did,
harder.
I don't remember. And maybe it was on an inbounds pass or something. But
very rarely.
You're so susceptible to rebounding, and rebounding in defense is where he made his money, right? And so he wouldn't allow that. The zone was going to end the game.
Nope. They got over it, thank goodness.
Yeah,
but Mark had to stand at the top of this key and scream illegal.
Right. And point.
And he did hate it because he did tell those stories.
Yeah. I had it over waffles.
Yeah.
I can remember exactly where I was. And I just sat there thinking, well, Mark Eaton's telling me stories. There's no need for me to talk.
He's got them.
And I had Frank Layden some of the times.
Yeah. He's got stories.
No need for me to talk.
No.
Probably why those guys like me. I just sat there.
Yeah, but that's an era when you were new to the market, and they brought you up to date on the 80s. You learned a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and
you had Bill Marcroft. He had stories too.
Oh, yeah. Marcroft, taught me so much about Utah sports. I miss that man dearly.
So much, yeah.
Him and Bruce Woodbury. I would give money to have another time having them argue and who gets the last ribs at the quarters in Albuquerque before a basketball game. Absolutely. Those were times of my life. They were great times covering the Utes. So I think Walker can be an emerging offensive player. I think he's just scratched the surface there.
And I think that what he's already good at could really be accentuated on this team.
No question.
That his ability to get the ball, and not just Gobert where you throw the lob and he catches it and dunks it and he's within a foot of the rim, but really anything within 5 feet, 6, 7 feet. And this team's going to have so much offensive talent. If everybody stays healthy, they're going to have so much offensive talent. People are going to have to help. They're going to be scrambles. There's going to be more situations for him to get easy dunks. Putbacks.
Yes. And you have to account for him, if nothing else.
If you don't, he's going to be right there catching lobs, getting dunks, getting layups.
On this team, he could average 12 to 15, and I wouldn't blink.
Yeah, I think he's already at 11 or 12, so to get up to 15, especially if he can become a better free throw shooter. That's a huge question mark. He's had years where he shot 55%, years where he shot 60%. He's going to play enough, assuming he's back, that if he could get to 65, get to the mid to high 60s, 15 points a game is totally within reach.
But at the same time, they may have to let him go.
DJ PK, more on this coming up. A lot more reaction to this. Also reaction to LeBron and where he should go. It's all on the way. Stay with us.
The Utah Jazz select Darren Peterson.
The Utah Jazz have found their future face of the franchise as Darren Peterson is on his way to Salt Lake City.
The BYU at Kansas game, he had 18 points in the first half. He was 6 of 8, had 3 steals. There was no question who the best player on the floor was.
Winning basketball is back in Utah, and the KSL Sports Zone will be with the new look Jazz every step of the way. Your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Walker Kessler, story of the morning. They're saying, now you got to finely tune BS meter over there. When you hear that he's got offers in the mid to high 30s, you buying all that? Is this a little positioning and bargaining? I don't see the point of them spinning it, but maybe I'm just being too trusting a soul because the Jazz have the rights to match. And so ultimately they'll get to see it, so I don't really see how you can bluff this. But
certainly
when you hear
mid
offers,
is 33 to 36.
I would absolutely think that if anyone's going to bother to meet with him, they'd be offering 33. Mid to high 30s, then I start wondering 36, 38, I assume
it's
it was
37.
Okay, 37.
That's got to be high. You got low, 30, 31, 32. You got mid, 33, 34, 35, 36.
Why say mid to high? I mean, you got 36 or 37 or 38, whatever it is.
Well, I think that's where it's a little bit of posturing.
But they can't really bluff this because the Jazz get to match. I mean, they'll see the deal. They'll know. Now, maybe it's more teams. Maybe one team came in at 33 and another team came in at 37, and there's multiple offers. See, he really does have this value.
Yeah, but I think agents want stuff out.
Yeah.
And, I got my guy this amount of money, so future clients, you come here.
Yeah,
you're constantly
playing a game.
Posturing.
Yeah. Yep, that's true.
And I can tell you I've been used by agents.
To get their story out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's a guy in town. Well, I better not go too many details, but he was clearly using the media. And he was playing the media. It happens. And you have to decide as a media member, is it worth for me to get played? And these dudes, particularly now more than ever, in my day as a print guy, the paper was the paper. And clicks were not a thing. And now everything is a thing. Right? There's no question about it. It's a thing. It was a thing for me to an extent when I wrote for KSL.com. And I got paid by the number of page views.
Briefly, yes.
But I did.
You did. No, you absolutely did. $1 a page view.
I used to joke. And I would write about BYU 9 times out of 10, although the one story that finished in the top 10 of all KSL for the whole year had nothing to do with BYU, ironically. And that thing shot through the roof, and I was told was number 1 for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, they didn't want to pay me by page views anymore.
That's the way that stuff. All the incentive bonus stuff works like that. They do it to mollify you in contract negotiation. Yeah, we'll do it. And as soon as you start hitting it, they stop paying it.
And I was fine because the truth be told, the majority of my money comes through here, and those were just little side jobs, right? Although radio and TV or print, writing, and TV were nice side jobs.
Yay!
They were worth the money, or I wouldn't have done it, obviously.
Yeah.
But this is the majority. But even that, in a little slice of my income, it was clicks, as they say. So the agents are going to use the media even more, and the media wants to be, but you have to decide. You can't put that out there
if
it's an absolute fact.
Credibility.
Yeah, because your credibility is on the line. It's a big game, and so I have to rely on the integrity of the writer who puts that out there, or writers, knowing that, okay, they can't ruin their own credibility. They can't go for the sensational, because if you do it twice and you're wrong, you're out the door.
But this does pass the sniff test.
I think it does.
The teams would take Walker into the mid or high 30s.
And if it's mid to high, what's the difference? $2 million? You know what I mean?
Well, I think 4 to 5 tops. 33 to 37.
If you go from the bottom of the
35 to 9
to the high of the high,
it's
but it's probably closer.
33 to 39.
Yeah,
32 is not mid.
Right.
Yeah,
but it's probably closer. So it's maybe 1, 2, 3 million. As you said, the most of that's going to get eaten up in taxes anyway. And what's the difference? You're going to be rich beyond your dreams. Away you go.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, John Brice, College Sports Insider for USA Today. He's got a story out on Kalani Sitake and BYU.
I read it.
Kalani passing on Penn State.
I heard that.
8:30. Yeah. I drove down there for that. Breaking news.
Yeah.
We'll talk with John at 8:30, and then 9 o'clock, Larry the Laker on the end of the LeBron James era in L.A. We've also got a Win Tickets Wednesday. Should we do it next, Jock? Just do it next? All right. Right after the break, stay with us. When we come back from break, we'll give away the tickets to see Post Malone with special guests Jelly Roll and Carter Faith at Rice-Eccles Stadium July 28th. We'll do that next. Stay with us. LeBron is out in L.A., which might free up more money, which is why this whole Walker Kessler thing is getting a little more interesting for Jazz fans. But what is LeBron's legacy with the Lakers? Coming up at 9 o'clock, we'll talk with Larry Laker about this, and then you'll find out how bitter one Laker fan can get.
I think it's ho-hum.
Good, but not great? Not even good.
The standard for the Lakers and the Celtics is
so high.
Much higher than any other franchise, even the Knicks.
Tyler says he's a top 10 Laker. He brought a championship and brought him back to relevance. But Tavita dismisses the title. It was a made-up COVID tournament championship in Disney World.
You know, everyone was playing by the same rule, but it was funky.
It was definitely funky.
It just doesn't count as much. But I mean...
But it does because people say he has 4 titles. And all that stuff gets lost in details.
Bonds has whatever amount of home runs he has, but he doesn't.
I don't feel like LeBron gets devalued like Bonds. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
Nevertheless, but that's the example. It's not a literal comparison, but it's still a form of comparison.
I totally disagree with this. Izzy says statue outside and top 3 Laker of all time.
His ability, yes, but not as a Laker.
Right. He's not a top 3 Laker. If you want to go top NBA player of all time, she shoots into the stratosphere because he's LeBron. I don't think he's the GOAT, but he's very close. But as a top Laker of all time, I would say Shaq, Kareem, Magic, and Kareem, Shaq, and Kobe for sure in front of him. That's 4. And then you could say Jerry West.
Oh, I think most people put Jerry West in
5.
George Mikan.
Going way back. Minneapolis, baby.
They do. I mean, you stop that.
How about Wilt?
I would say Wilt, no. Elgin
Baylor.
Didn't win a title, so maybe not.
So we're arguing somewhere around 6, 7, 8, 9. He's not in the top 5, but he's in the next 5. Worthy?
I think Worthy is someone that was recognized and has stayed in the community. He does
TV.
What Mike Smith does here for us.
Yep.
So, yeah. And he's willing to say stuff. Mike Smith is too, for that matter. But James
will be critical of the team.
He will.
If he doesn't like what he's seeing, he'll say that.
Right.
And partly that's the Lakers' fault. And I think this is where LeBron gets
what do you mean it's the Lakers' fault?
Well, they ran out terrible teams for a long time, and they had him on TV. What was he supposed to say?
Well, yeah.
Come on. They had a run of missing the playoffs that was stunning.
Yeah, but, I mean, he's not – you're not going to crack on a player who isn't good enough for not being good enough. It's more than that.
Okay, and if I watched more of their broadcasts, I would probably pick up on that. You're right. Yeah. There are times where – they should have been better even when they were good.
I mean, I can't criticize Marcus Smart for not shooting like Steph Curry. But if he makes a boneheaded play,
a boneheaded turnover, gets beat when he shouldn't, right?
That's what our broadcasters have had to do the last few years. You can't go on and just crack on these guys for losing game after game
when they're trying.
Yeah, and some of these kids are just not good enough against who they're going against. You got to find the bright spots and the positives. We all understand that.
I do think for the people who want to crack on LeBron, the fact that they had their 6 straight years They were running through 3 different coaches, and I think if you go back even further, it was like 5 and 7 years. And he elevated them back to relevance.
It doesn't matter, though.
Not enough because they're the Lakers.
See, the thing about that is those guys, you got the Tommy Lasorda, cut me open, what do I bleed?
Dodger blue.
Right.
Heard that quote a million times.
Cut open Kobe, what did he bleed?
Laker
Magic.
purple.
Yeah.
Laker purple.
And even though Abdul played a little bit with the Bucks,
And
he
that's
went to
where
college there.
LeBron's on his 4th chapter of his well-traveled career.
And he's going to go again, obviously, wherever, up north or whatever it might be.
The only winning 3 playoff series in the last 6 years takes luster off whatever people want to say about LeBron's era there.
I can't really blame him on that, too, because those would be ages
35 to 41 or whatever.
If you went the last 3 years, 39, 40, 41. Duh. What player in the history of the game has ever done that as the lead dog?
Okay,
Nobody.
But you can't crack on him for him, but you can't elevate it for him either.
Understood. Yes, so I don't crack on him on that. It's actually amazing, unless he's doing something that shouldn't be done. His body and his ability to play at this advanced age is Tom Brady-like. And Nolan Ryan did it as a pitcher for a bit there. But other than that, there's not a lot of guys that are doing it that age. And so I don't expect him. So I don't think he takes a hit for the Lakers going out in the second round this year, especially without Doncic. But it just doesn't elevate him. There's no real dramatic moments.
No,
there's not. That Magic, just like I thought. Hook shot, good. Yeah,
and that's why he's top 5 Laker all time.
Kobe with the game-winning shots. 80 points in his last, or 60 points in his last game. Blah 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 blah.
Well, the guys who are listing at the top, that when we're listing all the Lakers, are all sitting on multiple titles. And LeBron's sitting on one that was won in a bubble with no fans there and no member. All the fans were watching on TV. There's no court storming.
And plus, you've got 3 guys that's all who they ever played for. Nobody.
In West and Magic and Kobe. Yeah.
That's it.
Laker lifers.
Right.
And if you throw Elgin in there, that'd be a 4th.
And they never moved.
Yeah, the big guys.
They stayed there the whole time.
Wilt, Kareem, and Shaq all started somewhere else.
When Shaq ended.
Shaq finished somewhere else.
Yeah. Won a title somewhere else.
Yeah. I guess they all did. Wilt and Shaq also. Wilt, Shaq, and Kareem all won titles somewhere else. Wilt won one in Philly.
Shaq being after.
Shaq after. Yeah.
Wilt was, guys before.
Yeah. Wilt before in Philly and Kareem in Milwaukee.
But those and Shaq is the lovable goofball.
Yeah.
He's not telling you how to live your life off the floor. Shaq has no ambition to be some political leader that LeBron felt inspired to do at times, and his right to do it. I'm just saying. What LeBron thinks politically, I couldn't care less. No one ever, because an athlete or a singer has told me to do something on who to vote, means that's who I'm going to vote for.
Follow that celebrity down the road.
Nobody does that. It's so overrated. They think their opinions are so important. Good for them. And they do have the platform, and they want to use it. All right, that's perfectly legal. Fine.
You don't lose freedom of speech when you become popular.
Yes, but I don't think they have any influence. Clearly, they don't have any influence because the guy's been elected twice.
That would be a bit of a sign.
Or they don't have enough influence, put it that way, right? Yeah. So people, that's so overrated. We get so outraged by these guys, shut up and dribble, blah, blah, blah. No, blab on all you want. It doesn't matter. In the end, it doesn't matter.
Well,
but some people might be turned off by that.
Election.
And
yes.
Shaq is out there, doing funny stuff and all that. And he's a lovable guy. So I think that increases his popularity.
Getting out of his chair, trying to run back to the screen and tripping over wires and somersaulting.
Right. He's funny.
Which is hilarious.
And then he's up there sobbing at the unfortunate tragedy.
With Kobe.
And realizing that was stupid.
Yeah.
What's the point? What was the point of that? Now this man's dead in his early 40s or whatever it was. That's awful. And so that's human being. We've all been there. I was just talking about that with the guy I was golfing yesterday. He's probably listening. And his wife died and got remarried and all. And I don't sweat anything anymore.
Yeah.
I went through that. What's the difference? It doesn't matter. Who cares? And so we can relate to that.
Hard to stress somebody out after that.
Yeah. Shaq being this enormous mountain of a man somehow is relatable.
Yeah.
And so I think you factor all those things in there. But at the same time, as you say, LeBron is LeBron. He is not. He's like a golfer. They have their country that they're from, but they move around all over the place, and they're them. They're individual corporations.
Yep. Individual brand, individual corporation.
And that's what
Rory is right now.
Yeah.
And that's what Scheffler is making himself into right in front of us.
Mm-hmm. And so I don't think that he holds a sacred place to the level of those other guys.
So Tyler gets it right then. Tyler says he is a top 10 Laker. He brought a championship, and he brought him back to relevance.
But
he probably is a top 10 Laker.
Okay.
Or what about the guys who are
extending it?
But what about the guy? Yeah. But what about the guys who are super role players and super popular? I mean, from the 80s.
Yeah, they'll have a place, but I don't know.
But they're not going to be on an all-time list.
No.
Cooper, because the
I think
Lakers
Cooper
going
is
to come
the
on.
number one guy.
Cooper and Rambis. Now, Rambis is different because he moved into the front office, so his story continues, and it gets a little. He's not popular with everybody. He's popular with some people, but he's not popular with everybody. But those two guys were clearly role players, and yet they were wildly popular because the team won so much, and they had their role in that.
See, if LeBron really wants to make a difference, you come here and help this team win a title. He would be revered forever.
Yeah, he would flip the narratives.
Yeah. People would eat that up.
Who is the most loved former Laker in Utah? Is it Ron Boone? Because he played for the Lakers.
Kobe.
Do you think Jazz fans love Kobe?
I think they all came around in the end.
I think Kobe is respected for a phenomenal competitor. And you hated him while he was playing, and then to death. It's hard to go.
It's hard to go hard at him, given.
I hate that guy.
Yeah,
he's dead.
Yeah,
and he died
young in tragic circumstances,
advocating in a helicopter for girls' youth basketball.
Literally on his way to a girls' basketball event. I don't know if it was a practice or a game or a tourney or whatever. It was a game.
It was a Sunday morning.
But that's why his daughter was with him. And,
and that's why the other people
were there too.
Common people.
Right. Teammates, parents of teammates.
Yes. And he was helping girls' youth sports. Who doesn't get behind that?
Right.
Everybody does. Right.
That's a good place to invest your time.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. Even if it were boys' youth, it would have been cool. But girls makes it slightly more important, particularly females and body image and all the stuff that they have to deal with. And we all support that. Everybody supports that. So it's hard to you can't crack on that. And he was the ultimate competitor. You have to acknowledge that. And he was a jerk at times, and Jordan was a jerk at times, but they were the ultimate competitors. What are you going to do there? I mean,
don't tend to get one without the other.
Yeah, really.
I mean, you go back to Jerry West.
Yeah, those guys. Yeah. I mean,
and West talking about it later. And he's talking about. I can still remember him doing an interview. It was a national thing, and he's like, "I'm in the point in my life where I'm giving back." And it was just this. The whole tone of the interview was, it was. I was totally about me, maybe to a detriment, at one point in my life, and I got to make sure that at this point in my life, I'm the complete opposite.
Kenny Dillingham has been pushing this Sun Devil for life.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to make it something special. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
The guy's a walking PR genius.
He really is. He really. I mean, he's working hard at it. And in an era when a lot of people are going away from it, he's leaning into it.
And so,
which, given the fact they don't have the money, he should.
Right, Sun Devil for life. Be in this community, and you'll be able to make money afterward. You'll be remembered. You'll be a star. And the Utes did it with the hometown hero billboards and all that. And you should do that. Take advantage of what you have available to you. And Kobe and Magic and West, Laker for life. Well, LeBron isn't.
Well, Marvin says he ruined being a Laker fan for me. He's not a Laker. That is a remarkably small market attitude in a massive market. LA isn't typically.
LA is a great big freeway.
Okay, number one, it is a great big freeway. But number two, it isn't a market
you know
that
the
has.
way to San Jose?
It is not a market that has minded ripping off players, coaches, or entire franchises from other markets. They don't mind the transplants. Shohei started as an Angel. Now Dodger fans love him. They don't.
Yeah, well, he was with
themselves about
he
the
was in the
Angels.
Dodger minor leagues. The Angels.
Well, that's basically how they view the world.
The Dodgers quadruple A team is now the Angels.
They have a handful of homegrowns. They did have, Dodger lifers who came up through the organization.
Well, they had the longest running infield there.
Right.
And I don't know if all four of them, did they all come up through the minors? I don't even know that. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, Garvey's saying Russell did. The one I don't know is Lopes, because I've seen the pictures in Ogden of three of them with Lasorda when he managed 4 years or whatever it was before they all went to the bigs. And Lasorda was a base coach before he was the manager.
But that was a different era.
It was. But Stafford is a longtime Detroit Lion. They don't care. That was a cool Super Bowl. You can go through every sport. Gretzky, they embraced him. He was an Edmonton Oiler.
If you're traded there,
that is different. And some of these guys had only been on one team. I guess Wilt had been on two. But LA just doesn't typically concern itself with that. I think Marvin's going against the tide here, which is fine. That makes the world go round.
But
great,
you're comparing the ultimate, and he doesn't measure up to the ultimate because there wasn't that commitment.
He can't be Magic playing his whole career there, and he can't be Kobe.
The longer you go away from it, the more we as fans romanticize it.
We forget the bumps along the way. Just remember the good times.
He was a Laker.
Yeah.
And he was one of us. And that was my childhood. That was when life was carefree. I didn't know it was carefree, but now I know it was carefree.
Yeah.
And so you romanticize it, and it becomes bigger. I play with a guy in my golf league. He's 79 years old, and he grew up in Boston. And so he'll ask you, "Your pa?" And for 57 years, he was a golf pro. He had the same putter. He was telling me yesterday. He used the same putter for 57 years.
Wow.
Well, I haven't even golfed 57 years, and it was the same putter. And I said to him, "Why every time that you talk do I think of an episode of Cheers?" He's thick Boston accent, right? And he's telling me about the 61 All-Star game. He's sitting in the front row in the center field bleachers in the right center in Fenway.
Mm-hmm.
And they started Mays, Aaron, Clemente.
Wow.
And I'm like, give me more.
I know. This is awesome. I look at All-Star games now, and it just, yeah.
And I'm, obviously I'm not watching the 61 All-Star game, and he's reciting it.
And it's all Hall of Famers. It's all legends.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, wow, what it must have been to sit there and watch those guys, Mays, Aaron, Clemente, in their prime. Oh, I wish I was there. And we romanticize these things, and that's what Laker fans are doing. Well, they're going to romanticize Magic, West, Kobe. Even if you don't remember seeing West, you know who he was, and you know he was a phenomenal player, and you're going to romanticize it. Even if you never saw him play one play. And LeBron, and especially, it's hard to romanticize LeBron because we don't romanticize the things that are right now.
No,
hey, Dad, you want to have a catch? Well, his dad was dead. And he came back. You remember that movie?
I do. Field of Dreams. And they're going back there this year.
That's like...
Why doesn't baseball go there once every year?
What's that deal with the Saturday night skit with... who's the Down by the River guy, the fat guy?
John Candy. No,
not Candy, the other guy.
Chris Farley.
Yeah, and he's got McCartney. Do you remember that time when you were with the Beatles? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It's funny as all get out, right?
That was awesome.
Of course he does.
Chris Farley will never.
When he did that interview character, the time he did it with Jordan and the time he did it with McCartney were just the best.
Yeah.
But
Saturday Night Live now, that show sucks.
I agree. Right. But in 10 years, this will be a great era, and that'll suck.
Right. That's the romanticism of life that we do.
We pretend like these golden generations, like they never did a skit that was, B-.
Right.
Come on. Sure they did.
Of course they did.
We just think they were all A+. It was all...
Oh, yeah. I even go back to Tina Fey and what's the Parks and Rec chick, the blonde gal, and Tina Fey.
Poehler.
Yeah, and they're doing that thing of Sarah Palin. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Sarah
Palin and Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. It was super funny. And that's not that far ago. So you don't even have to go back. But you always want to go back. In order to romanticize, you got to go back. And I think that's what Laker fans will do with LeBron. And it will take you back to a time. And even if you had a bunch of crap you were dealing with, that was the best time. Because you remember the good time. Of course, if you're like me, it's different. But the rest of the people, they remember the good times.
The rest of the people who are wired right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, DJ PK, we got to take a break. When we come back, switching gears, college football. John Brice, college sports insider for USA Today. We're going to talk some Big 12 football with him. He spent some time in Provo following Kalani Sitake around. We will get to that next. Stay with us.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeCoe.
Brian Haney joins us now. He is the play-by-play voice of the Kansas Jayhawks. I know that Darren desperately wanted to be that number 1 overall pick. He's got himself into a good situation here. I know he realizes it. I know this team realizes it. This feels like a win-win for both sides.
For a guy that Bill Self has said is going to be a perennial NBA All-Star, this is maybe just the extra chip on his shoulder or competitive edge he might need to fuel his fire into being one of the most prolific players of his generation. This was just one player picked in front of Darren, but because he's such an alpha, I kind of think if I'm a Jazz fan, not only am I thrilled to get the player that Jay Billis says is the most talented prospect in the draft, but also you get a player that now has just even more fuel to his fire to push even harder and build on that legacy that we all think is inevitable for him at the next level.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up, Larry the Laker on the end of the LeBron James era in L.A. He ought to be salty. You think he can just look at the Dodgers and the way they're flying through things and just focus on that?
No, he's a Laker. I think he's a Laker to his core.
Laker first, Dodgers second? I've seen him get pretty salty about the Dodgers, too.
Yeah.
He wants them both to win all the time, which even they can't pull that off.
Everybody does. You're a fan.
We got a little breaking news this morning. The Pac-12, the new home of the Utah State Aggies, assigned a 2-year deal. The basketball tournament's going to the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, starting in 2027, which it turns out is, next season.
Yeah.
And 2 seeds will get double buys to semifinals of the event. Think Gonzaga provided any advice there? Mm-hmm. 3 and 4 will get a bye to the quarterfinals, so everybody will be trying to finish top 4.
I always knew that Utah State would get into Pac-12 before BYU.
DJ PK, and we're joined now by John Brice, college sports insider for USA Today. John, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. We wanted to talk to you. You spent a little time in Utah, and you didn't give us a call. You blew right through town without talking to us. But, hey, you got to hang out with Kalani Sitake and write a little story about him. And you got into him and the vibe he's trying to create around the program. And I don't think trying to create, he is creating around the program.
Yeah, that's the second time that I've gotten to spend some really in-depth quality time with Coach Sitake in the last few years. The previous one was for Football Scoop, and then this most recent one for USA Today. And I've gotten to know him at some of the AFCA conventions through the years as well, and had actually bumped into him this past January in Charlotte, and then was out this way last month and reached out to BYU and asked if I could come over, and ended up spending 4 or 5 hours on campus that day. Got some time with Aaron Roderick as well, but just always struck by the authenticity of Kalani Sitake.
Yeah, that's a very good word, because I would say genuine. You know, we've been doing this radio show for 25 years, so we're veteran guys here. And before that, for 14 years, I was the beat writer at the Salt Lake Tribune, and I covered these guys when they were players. And Kalani was that way as a young man, and he's certainly this way as an older man. The word genuine comes to mind as far as that goes. You know, I'd tell you a little story about him that when he was up at Oregon State for that brief time, and they Bronco Mendenhall took off, so it was obvious because of the religious connection that Kalani was going to be a top candidate, right? And so, you know, people were texting him and wanting to get his word on it, but, you know, he had to be low-key. Well, that season, which is in December, the time of year, Christmas Day, he gets in touch with me and tells me, hey, sorry, man, I couldn't get back to you, but I just want you to know, you know, I value our friendship and look forward to working with you. Blah. And I get it, man. I've been in the business for years. I know you got to be quiet. But this is a little anecdote of his interpersonal skills, which I think are off the charts, and you have obviously experienced that, and get your thought on how that genuine and authenticity, as you say, is actually helping him build a really good program.
Yeah, you know, I've gotten to spend time with a bunch of different coaches around the sport this spring, particularly some first-year guys in the SEC and at the University of Memphis, and then Kalani certainly being a veteran. And I think that authenticity and that genuineness, as you put it, is critical in this era because, as the coach told me this past week at a symposium in Atlanta, he was like, I can spend 10 minutes watching an AI video and not know it's AI. My players will know in 10 seconds. And so I think players are really smart right now. They know real from fake, and Kalani Sitake is real. And just briefly on that anecdote note, I'm one of the people who saw Kalani in general boarding talking to people, just talking to random people, because I talked to him in general boarding, getting ready to get on a flight cross country recently. And so because of that, you see that, and I was blown away when he gave me that quote that, you know, sometimes I'm sad when I see them put their AirPods in because I want to have a conversation with them. No coach does that. No coach does that. I'm at these conventions, and these guys are flying the university jets in or booster jets in, and they're getting in and out as quickly as possible. Kalani's standing in a line 10 deep with a crowd of Utah high school coaches talking to him as he prepares to fly back cross country into Salt Lake, no less, not even Provo. And Provo's got a great airport.
Yeah.
You get to interact with you know, coaches in different leagues and all that, and a lot of coaches. Some coaches probably don't value this at all, so set them aside. But there's probably other coaches who do. But it's not necessarily easy to create this and then sustain it. So I'm interested in your experience interacting with other coaches. What can be done to sustain it, and why does Kalani do it, and how many other people are doing this? I mean, it's never going to be exactly the same, but how many people are in the same ballpark as far as creating this type of attitude around a program?
I would say Kalani Sitake and Marcus Freeman are two at the very tip top who have created and honed an authentic culture that is lasting and that is rooted in substance. And I think that's the biggest key. The sport, as you guys well know, has never been more transactional. And because of the way that those programs are rooted in reality and in realness with one another, I think that positions them. I think that Kalani said it in the story. Like, we pay guys. We're happy to pay guys. They should be paid. We're never going to be the highest bidder. We will not get in a bidding war. Notre Dame is probably a little more aggressive in how much money it's spending overall, but it also values culture and will stop the bidding if it feels like a guy is going to be disruptive. So honestly, right off the bat, those are two of the top ones. Matt Campbell had a very similar culture at Iowa State. We'll see if it will translate to Penn State University. But those are really the ones that stand out to me. I'm not sure how much genuine culture is out there. Kyle Whittingham had it to a large extent at the University of Utah. Now he's challenged with building the same thing again at the University of Michigan. But when I was doing the story and when I was talking with people again over the weekend in Atlanta, then what really resonated with me is that, and I've spent a lot of time around Marcus Freeman because when I'm not out in Utah, I'm in South Bend, and Kalani Sitake talked to me about Marcus Freeman, and I see a great number of similarities in those two gentlemen.
Also, too, and you said you spent some time with Aaron Roderick. I don't want to go into detail, but I think the loyalty factor to Kalani is literally the number one reason why Aaron Roderick is at BYU, a veteran play caller who has had opportunities to leave, but his connection to Kalani keeps him there.
Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. We talked about that very component, and he talked about his loyalty to Kalani, and he made it clear in a smaller, separate piece that my editors published yesterday about how grateful he was to continue working for Kalani, but to continue working for Kalani at BYU. And in my role, again, previously a football scoop and now at USA Today, I deal with agents a lot and college coaches' agents, and those two guys have turned down a lot of money. I'll just put it that way. Kalani Sitake and Aaron Roderick have turned down a lot of money through the years to stay loyal to BYU. I think it's refreshing. The sport needs more stories like that.
You make the point about the players' very finely tuned antennas, right? And they can get the fake from the genuine. But at the same time, players don't tend to turn down a lot of money. How valuable is this attitude that they've got at BYU, they got at Notre Dame, maybe they had it at Iowa State and Utah, now they're going through their own coaching changes there. How valuable is that in recruiting, and how much of it just comes down to dollars and cents? And does this just come down as like a tiebreaker when the bids are about the same? How much does it matter? Because you got playing time out there, you got whatever parents or coaches are exerting influence with their own interests and agendas.
Yeah, I think it can be a little bit more than a tiebreaker. Can it cause a guy to give a hometown discount? I think so. I think it can, maybe for a guy who's contemplating going into the portal after his first or second year and ends up staying and probably ends up taking a little less money to stay in order to continue to be a part of it. I think this is where BYU and Notre Dame separate themselves a little bit because of the value of the degrees, and they're both global brands in my opinion. And the BYU Comm School, the BYU Business School are really, really powerful engines, and Notre Dame certainly has its business school and prepares a lot of people for law school and medical school as well, and just the value of that Notre Dame degree. So I do think that it's a little bit more than a tiebreaker. I think there are different regions of the country that it's far more strictly transactional. And, I talked with a guy last week for a story we're working on to preview the college football season who lost a linebacker in conference. And the money there would blow your mind because this was not one of the power leagues. And he lost a linebacker to a rival in conference for $500,000. And the head coach said the kid called him as soon as he left the other coach's office. And he said, well, I hoped you signed it before you called me. So there is still some authenticity and some realness there when these guys are dealing with one another, even as they're preparing to lose them. But I do think culture matters. And I do think when you look at the overall roster turnover, and maybe it's a study later this year, or maybe it's a study in a couple of years, Notre Dame and BYU have not had as much roster churn as a lot of their peers.
You obviously have a familiarity with Notre Dame, and a lot of people here certainly are looking forward to Saturday, October 17th in Provo, Utah, Lavelle Edwards Stadium, thinking that obviously that's when they play BYU and the Notre Dame game. And who knows what's going to happen, but there's an opportunity at least for both teams to be undefeated and have it be the game of the week, blah, blah, blah. Could you give us some insight into what you're expecting out of Notre Dame this season?
Yeah, I just turned in my USA Today preseason top 25 ballot. I had both Notre Dame and BYU inside of the top 10. I will be at that game on the 17th of October. I'm extremely excited to attend and cover that contest. I think it will be one of the preeminent matchups in college football this season. I think Bear Bachmeier is really poised for a giant next step. I think he was kind of a raw athlete who just made plays because he's a heck of a football player last year. I think he will take a step this year as a more complete quarterback. Notre Dame is going to lean on the right arm of C.J. Carr, who I think will have an opportunity to go pro after this season. And then I think the Notre Dame defense will be one of the very best in all of college football. But I really like the Glasgow guy at linebacker for BYU. I think BYU's perimeter skill is slept on a little bit, and certainly L.J. Martin is an elite running back. So I think it will be one of the best games in college football this year. I think the week before I'm at Georgia, at Alabama, and then I get Notre Dame, BYU, and the week after that I maybe get Indiana, Michigan. So I'm going to have a pretty blessed October.
Nice.
John Brice, College Sports Insider for USA Today, joining us in your story on BYU and Kalani. You did reference the scandal at Texas Tech, and I'm curious how far you think they're going to fall. Arizona State did go 7-2, and they got in the conference title game. It was a four-way tie at 7-2, and they won the conference title 2 years ago. Obviously, they're the only team that beat Tech last year. Utah and BYU aren't on Tech's schedule this year. Is there a team or two out there that can take Tech down and keep them out of the title game, or should we just pencil them in?
No, I definitely think that Tech has its work cut out for it. I think the Red Raiders will be really good on defense, and I like Joey McGuire. I think he's been put in a pretty untenable situation by that whole sordid saga. But I would not remotely pencil or pin Texas Tech into the Big 12 championship game. I know in speaking with some coaches, including some here in the Utah area, that they expect a big jump out of Central Florida this year. I'm not quite that far, but I do think the league is going to have some really quality teams. I know Lance Leipold is really motivated to get things rolling back. I like what Arizona returns in some key spots. Certainly, I think Utah will have a voice in it. We'll see what Devin Dampier does as he continues also to progress at quarterback. But no, I mean, BYU is my preseason favorite in the Big 12. BYU is the only team from the league that I put inside of my top 10. And I think that Texas Tech will be hard-pressed to be a 10-win team this year.
And why would you say that?
Because I think that, certainly the timing and Sorsby finally waving the white flag that everyone in America knew he should wave gives Tech all summer to transition, but they're still – they were going to pay Brendan Sorsby more than $6 million to be their quarterback for a reason. And the next guy on the roster is not Brendan Sorsby. Brendan Sorsby had the NFL held a supplemental draft. I had multiple NFL people tell me he had as high as a second-round grade, and some teams might have shaved it down. Some teams might have really given him a first-round grade in a typical year, but felt like they could get him on a second-round grade had there been a supplemental draft. And so I just think for all those reasons, you're going to have your work cut out for you. And you're going to be, even with Sorsby not playing, Texas Tech has now emerged as one of the villains in all of college football. Yeah. They started that. It trended that way last year with how much money they spent. This year they're spending, again, more than $50 million on that roster. They're kind of the poster boys, and they're leaning into it of being the renegade mercenaries of college football, but they're the renegade mercenaries without the quarterback they expected. So I really think that, they're going to struggle to score points, and they're going to have some issues in that regard.
You think the Big 12 can get two teams in the playoff?
Boy, that's a great question. One, I can't answer it today. If you guys want to have me back on in the fall, then maybe I'll have a better handle on it. I'm not ready to say that yet. I think there are a couple of teams that could give the Big 12, that opportunity to get two teams into the playoffs. They obviously were incredibly close last year, and had it been a 16-team playoff, I think that would have been the perfect number last year. And I think BYU is a team that would have been capable, as well as they were playing against anyone not named Texas Tech, and just sort of the physicality that they played with and the different dynamics that they had on offense. So I think it's possible. I will not sit here and tell you that I don't think there's any path whatsoever for it, but I think it's a little bit of an uphill trek.
Billionaire booster Cody Campbell has fancied himself as a reformist, I guess, if that's a word, in college sports, right? And he's taken it to the highest levels. I think the Sorsby thing really shot down his credibility, and he comes off as a Texas Tech fan first and foremost, not necessarily what's in the best interest of college football. So I think that now, from going forward, whatever he says, I'm going to view a little more skeptically. What do you think of that?
I think that's fair, and I certainly understand that. I've got some of my colleagues that know Cody much, much better than I do. I will say I think that he truly does want to see college sports preserved and wants to see a more uniform playing field. But if and until that time occurs, then I think he's plenty happy to lean into it and completely exacerbate the problem. And it's almost like what you kind of alluded to is the hypocrisy of his words and actions are almost to underscore the hypocrisy of where college athletics are right now.
The University of Michigan is going to be getting a lot more attention in the state of Utah. There'll be some people rooting for the Wolverines. There'll be some people rooting against the Wolverines, but I don't think people are going to be able to take their eyes off Kyle Whittingham. And obviously his staff has not only former Utes, but obviously the Cougars defensive coordinator in Jay Hill, who played at Utah. Where do you think Michigan fits in the pecking order in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I think they've got their work cut out for them. We'll see what kind of step forward Brice Underwood can make. We'll see how much Whittingham and company can do to kind of protect him and not put as much on him. I think that this will certainly be an exponentially better coached Michigan football team than what we saw a year ago or even the previous year under Sharon Moore. From all the people I've talked to, as a matter of fact, somebody on Whittingham's current staff told me point blank, quote, "It's a miracle these guys won any games last year as dysfunctional as this place was." So that gives you an idea of kind of what Whittingham and company walked into. He's the perfect steadying force, I think, for Michigan and can lead them for the next 4 or 5 years and kind of through a critical transitional period. But I think they're way down. Oregon and certainly Ohio State I would have well above Michigan. USC believes that it has by far its best team of Lincoln Riley's 5 seasons, now going on to 6, I guess. So all of those teams are ahead of them. Where does Penn State shake out now with Matt Campbell? What kind of first-year impact can Pat Fitzgerald have at Michigan State? Michigan State's going to be well behind Michigan, but I would have a hard time having Michigan above 4th in my own personal Big Ten rankings.
John, we appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on and hitting on a variety of topics this morning. We appreciate it.
No, grateful. I'll be at Big 12 Media Days next week in Frisco, so I hope to meet some of you guys in person.
Yeah,
All right, thank you, John. John Brice, College Sports Insider for USA Today. DJ and PK coming up at 9 o'clock, the long-awaited return of Larry the Laker. LeBron is done in L.A. What does Larry think of that? And where do the Lakers go from here? And how badly does he want Kessler? Talk Lakers with Larry the Laker, who ought to be fired up and entertaining. That's 10 minutes away. Stay with us.
Welcome to This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson.
Everything I have heard, Walker loves Utah. Walker wants to be in Utah. Walker's happy in Utah. Walker would prefer to end up in Utah, but he just wants as much money as possible.
He was around the team an incredible amount last year.
Yep, he was.
He was with them on the road on trips that he absolutely did not need to go to for a player that shut it down for the entire year. And he was with them at the end of the year, again, where he had even less incentive to be with the team, around the players, around the new players in Jaren Jackson Jr.
The Jazz love Walker the person. They really like Walker the player. They want him to be a part of their team. But you can't pay the wrong person too much money, because then you're not building a championship team anymore. You know, you're not building a contending team. You're just paying your dudes because you like your dudes, and that's not the job. You've got to get everybody in the right place at the right price.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Just talked a little college football with John Brice. Hit a lot of topics there, PK.
Man, I want to put my hand in the dirt right now.
7-2. That is a good conference record. But the hit rate on getting to the conference title game, and it's our little 2-year sample here, the Big 12, 40%, right?
Beat Notre Dame, you don't have any to worry about it.
Beat Notre Dame, go 7-2 in conference, and you'd be in the conference title game?
Mm-hmm.
Can see why you'd say that, but I can't guarantee it.
And you'd get in the playoff.
10-2 with a win over the Irish.
Yeah,
and that's how they get the second team in
conference.
Yeah, that's how they get the second team in the tournament.
Yeah, and you know you want Notre Dame to do well. They play on October 17th. Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Rice, Michigan State, Purdue, North Carolina, Stanford.
Should be undefeated.
I see no reason why they lose any of those games. I mean, you never know. What Wisconsin what are they going to be? That time's
they've been way down.
Yeah. Michigan State.
They've been way down.
Rebuilding. North Carolina. It seems like it's only a matter of time. That seems like a Bill Walsh thing at Stanford. Doesn't last very long. And Stanford obviously is reloading. BYU, more difficult schedule going into that game. Obviously, Utah Tech would be a win. Colorado State over there, suspected to be a win. But Arizona and TCU, very difficult. TCU down in Fort Worth, very difficult game.
So the Cougs might have a loss going into that.
They get Iowa State at home the week before. So, yeah. That if BYU, and from the starting point, John Brice has them in his top 10. If BYU rolls into that game, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5-0.
Yeah. Wow. You're five. They most definitely, because if you beat Arizona and TCU, those are teams that are around the periphery of expected to be very competitive. The Cats, week 2, 1:30 in Provo, should be blazing hot. Although Arizona's going to look, I need 2. Get out of my
It's not
face.
blazing hot.
It's a spring day out here. This is great.
There's no part of that is blazing hot to somebody from Tucson.
But I'm excited to be at LaVell Edwards Stadium that day to cover that game. Look, I'm already looking forward to it. That's a great win. And going down to Fort Worth, I've been down there many times, BYU playing them back in the old days, and that would be an excellent win too.
All right, DJ PK, when we come back, Larry the Laker joins us. Is Walker Kessler going to L.A.? LeBron is gone. How do Laker fans look at him, and where do they think he's going? And do they even care? We'll get to all that. Larry the Laker will spice things up next. Stay with us.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. A reminder, the KSL Sports Zone of Beehive Meals for honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to Jake and Ben for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. All right, a lot going on. LeBron has announced he is leaving L.A. Very nice on the surface. He posted nice stuff. Jeannie Buss posted nice stuff. Everyone feeling good. Okay, great. But where's he going? Who's he playing for? Could he go to Cleveland, team with Donovan Mitchell? They were in the conference final. Could they get back to the NBA Finals? Is he really going to go for the minimum? I think there's the thought out there he's going to go for the veteran exception. That's $15 million. But would he really go for the minimum? Miami, Golden State also in play, but the whole league's supposed to be making a bid for him. So I guess San Antonio and Oklahoma City should tell him how he fits in. That'll look like chasing a ring if he goes there. I'd be intrigued if he went to Denver because they're good, but they are clearly a step below. He could change that.
He ain't going to Denver.
I know. Joining us now, Larry the Laker. Larry, long time no talk, but we thought we had to hear from you. This is a momentous day in Laker history. Either they lose one of the all-time greats, if not the GOAT in some people's mind, not ours because we're all Jordan people, or thank goodness that fraudulent Laker got out of town. Where do you fall on that spectrum?
Definitely much more to the second point, the fraudulent. Although, if I had to give LeBron's tenure a letter grade, I would give it a strong B, maybe even a B+ if I'm feeling generous. But, the LeBron tenure was so weird because he was never really a Laker. In many people's minds, he put the uniform on. He played hard. He did his thing. But LeBron is his own business. He's his own entity, and I heard or I read what some talking head said yesterday. One of the few things I thought made a lot of sense is that when you think of LeBron and the end of his career, all the other great players that we know of, you think of them and a team. Michael and the Bulls, Magic and the Lakers, Kobe and the Dirk and the Mavericks. Go down the list. Who do you think of with LeBron? You think of LeBron because he's always been his own business model, his own thing. And that was the thing that a lot of Laker fans always had trouble with. It was like he actually believed he is bigger and more important than the Laker franchise, than the franchise with 17, O'Brien trophies. He thought he was bigger. And that's what always rubbed people here the wrong way.
Who's a better player, LeBron or Kobe?
Well, I would take Kobe 100 times out of 100. Well, it's not. Here's the thing, BK. It's not the numbers. LeBron is the king of the numbers, but he's the all-time leading scorer, right? Whose hands do I want the ball in at the end of a ball game? Kareem or LeBron? It's not freaking close. Kareem every time. He had an unstoppable shot. LeBron eventually eclipsed all his numbers because he's played for 150 years,
Well,
and
so did Kareem. I mean, let's be honest. They both went past 40.
Yeah, but Kareem played 4 years of college.
Yep.
He was a much older player when he came into the league. So you can't it's weird. And so going back to Kobe, I can't even remember the scores of times Kobe pulled a game out of the fire with a last-second shot. It's legendary. I can count in 8 years. You know how many game-winning or tying shots LeBron had as a Laker in 8 years? You could take a guess how many he had
2
in 8 years. 3.
Oh.
3. You just missed it. But so you ask, who would you rather have? I'd rather have the guy who makes the clutch shot. The other thing with LeBron, and you know this, he's a bad free thrower for a star. He's only, 72% or something? I lost track of how many games the Lakers lost because he got fouled with 6 seconds to go and only made 1 out of 2. And, all the people, that's the other thing. There are a ton of people who became, quote, Laker fans because they're LeBron fans. He has a legion of followers. And those people will now go away, and we don't let the door hit you on the way out, okay? Because this is about the Lakers. It's not about LeBron. And he always, I could go on. I'm already going on all day. He is so sensitive, and so you saw all these articles yesterday where he was hurt. He thought the Lakers disrespected you. They allowed you to ruin a championship team by forcing the Lakers to trade for your buddy Russell Westbrook, which was a disaster. They're still getting over that disaster. They signed your kid. They drafted your kid. They did so many things for him that they wouldn't do for most other players. But he felt poor LeBron. So good for him. Go on to the Hall of Fame. I'm sure the Lakers will retire his jersey number.
Statue?
But I can get no freaking way he gets a statue.
No?
8 years, 1 kind of oddball title. What was it? After the championship in 20, they won exactly 3 playoff series. In that same time, they were also swept 3 times in the playoff. Listen, you mentioned Kobe, but we go down the line of these guys actually had 5 championships. Kobe, Shaq, Magic, Kareem, Worthy. These guys delivered the goods. That's why they have statues. So, and all again, there's tons of LeBron sycophants out there, and they're going to say, well, the Lakers didn't surround him with. The Westbrook thing was his freaking idea. He pushed for that, and it ruined the team. But again, they're still trying to dig out from what they did wrong there. So, LeBron had his chances, and he is what he is. He's the strangest superstar I've ever watched personally. Just very obviously polarizing and hard to wrap your arms around. That's all I can say.
Now that he's gone, wherever he goes, that opens up a little more money for the Lakers to play around with. Do you think they're going to spend it on Kessler? Do you think they're going after Duren? Do you think there's another plan? Curious Jazz fans definitely want to know, is Walker Kessler in Utah, or is he going to the Lakers, or is there some other team out there for him?
If you take Kessler, Larry, I'll never talk to you again.
Well, here's the thing, PK. Kessler is, by the way, in Los Angeles as we speak.
Yes.
He got here yesterday. But there's a real problem this season with all this cap space, in that the two players the Lakers want are both restricted. So if you go after Kessler or Duren, you give them, obviously it's going to be a big offer. Well, then what is it? Doesn't the other team have like 7 days to match that or something? So while other teams are then spending in free agency and filling in their rosters and everything, the Lakers would be paralyzed. They couldn't do anything for the 7 days, not knowing if they're going to pay Kessler or Duren or not. So it's a very strange free agency year for that. I think Kessler is their number one target. And here's the thing. Everybody forgets this. And I saw this so many times yesterday, all these people talking about, well, with this Lakers front office, how do people not understand that the Lakers were purchased by the same people who own the Dodgers last season, mid-season? The Lakers are now owned by the most powerful ownership group in the sport. And these people do not mess around, okay? They are here to build a dynasty just like they've done with the Dodgers. They are here to do it the right way. Everybody thinks the Dodgers happened overnight. They've owned them for 12 years. It's only been the last 2-3 that they are absolutely dominant. Yes, they had winning teams, but that organization, the Guggenheim Group, they started with the Dodgers from square one. The first thing they did was dramatically expand the scouting department, dramatically put millions of dollars into the minor league system to build the organization the right way from the ground
and then
up.
brought Freeman, Yamamoto, Ohtani. The list goes on, Larry.
Taking the words right out of the mouth of Padre fan. I've never been happier than sitting next to
Did
PK
their
right
scouting
now.
department tell him, hey, we think this Shohei Ohtani's a pretty good player?
Ohtani kid. He's got a little pop in his bat.
Hey, let me bring this up to my boy PK here. How did they acquire Mookie Betts? It was a trade.
They paid him a ton of money.
No. They
Yes.
One second. They traded. They traded with the Boston Red Sox.
Because the Red Sox didn't want to pay him a ton of money.
Thank you. You took it words right out of my mouth.
That's why we're a good team.
No, they could. How did they get Freddie Freeman?
Free agent.
The Braves didn't want to give him a ton of money, and the Dodgers are going to give him a ton of money. It always comes back to the ton of money.
There's another factor there. The Braves had Matt Olson. They were not interested
because he was
in
cheaper
Freddie anymore. Well, not anymore. So the point being, the Dodgers have just gone after. I mean, the freaking Angels had Shohei for 7 years. 7 freaking years, and they couldn't even get to the play. And Mike Trout at the same time, and they were so badly run they couldn't get to the playoffs. So, yes, the money matters, but also, see, you ticked off the dog now. she's nothing but not loud.
Well, the loud dog needs to stop because you ticked me off, and I've now looked at Dodgers here, and I got 13 free agents. Yamamoto, free agent. Ohtani, free agent. Freddie Freeman was a free agent. Blake Snell, free agent. Kyle Tucker, free agent. Tanner Scott, free agent. Teoscar Hernandez, free agent. Edwin Diaz, free agent. Hey, the NBA salary cap is not going to let this ownership build the Lakers the way they built the Dodgers.
Well, what they've already done under the radar, I'm sure you guys know this, but they've already tripled the scouting department with the Lakers as far as personnel.
Yep.
They basically kicked the G League team out of the South Bay facility here where the Lakers train and now they're going to be out in the desert, in Palm Desert, in the new facility. But because they wanted the square footage at this place, because they're building the most state-of-the-art training, recovery, sports science center in the sport, and they literally wanted the square footage, so they kicked the G League team out. They've hired 2 new assistant general managers to go along with Hollywood Rob. They are building the organization from the ground floor. Yes, spending lots of money, but all these numbskulls out there say, oh, well, the Lakers front office. This isn't the front office that existed under the Buss family. We're playing with the big boys now. So are they going to win next year? No, I doubt it, unless something miraculous happens. A player comes in, they didn't expect it, who explodes on the scene or something. But over the next couple of years, they are not going to make stupid decisions. They're not going to sign bad contracts. They're going to wait it out, and they're going to target players. Ohtani, perfect example. Well, they had him targeted for 3 years before they signed it. They were making financial considerations with him in mind 3 years before they signed him. They're going to do the same thing here. So I love all these people who are rubbing their hands together saying, oh, they lost LeBron, the Lakers are going to be terrible. Just enjoy it for a couple of years. And then you're going to be crying in your beers over the fact that the Lakers are a monster again. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah, but you got to have the number 1 pick when Wembanyama's coming
Larry.
out. Yeah.
Get on the Darren Peterson train now.
PK, do you already have your jersey?
Absolutely. Look for me on the front row of the Summer League in Salt Lake and Vegas. And Vegas, hey, you ought to like him. Darren Peterson has a Kobe Bryant tat.
You know what? I love any of the Kobe disciples. But,
yes.
Listen, I hope the kid's great. It was much more fun when the Jazz were really good. The reason we seldom, when we started this ridiculous relationship years ago, it's because it was fun to go on with, and the Jazz fans would get so upset because the Jazz were really good. And it was a rivalry. It hasn't been that way for, 5 years at least or so?
Yes.
So let's go Jazz.
Yes, and if Darren Peterson wins a title here, I'm getting a Darren Peterson tat.
You don't like cats.
Thank you, Larry.
But
Thank
I will where the sun shines. It's usually the sun don't shine.
Yeah, I got it. That was very clever. He owes me a tattoo from more than 20 years ago because I said somebody, I don't remember who, was going to lose an NBA game that night, and he's like, no way. And I'm like, it's their 4th game in 5 nights. They're getting beat. And he promised to get a tattoo, and he's never gotten it. And he just keeps saying not yet and how do you know? Those are the 2 things he always says.
Have you seen me nude?
Thank goodness, no. Thank goodness.
Well, let's go to Black's Beach.
San Diego reference. La Jolla, the Cliffs, hello.
Hey, DJ, I shouldn't forget that you're a San Diego boy, but simple. Now,
will you send our teams back? Will you send our teams back? I mean, we don't want the Angels. We got the Padres. We don't need them. But you don't care about the Clippers. You don't care about the Chargers. And the Chargers are all right now, but they're generally not that good. Just send them back, would you?
Well, I'll tell you, Harbaugh lives in the hood here, and he's a funny guy.
The hood. So I read that. Is he He's Manhattan Beach, not PV, right?
Yes,
Right.
Manhattan Beach.
USC coaches
and
at PV.
He is very visible. That dog you heard barking, I have to walk her much because she's big and needs walks. There's this whole green belt down here. I see Harbaugh in the green belt 3 days a week, just hanging out, just cruising, He's a very social guy, too. If you say, hello, coach, he's like, hey, man, how you doing? So it's funny. He's a different cat for sure, but he's very friendly, dude. So that's cool.
Yeah.
But what I was going to ask you, DJ, what the hell happened to the Padres? I mean, they're kind of awful now, and I don't understand it.
Well, it's definitely been more than an awful month. I would say that a season is just freakishly mediocre. The O'Malley's nephew, who was pumping all the money into him, they're starting to reel the money back in. The starting pitching isn't good enough. The guys who are getting paid to hit aren't hitting, and there you go. The bullpen's lights out, but they got to have a lead. But
it's weird because, as recently as 2 years ago, they were absolutely, I believed, in the National League, the Dodgers' number one contender.
Yeah.
And they were close, and they were good.
Yep.
And
they're
really
not.
With no great losses. And AJ is a buddy of mine, and I'm sad for him because I've got to believe he'll be fired after this year. And, but I think he's done all the right things per se. I mean, he's gotten the players. They're just not performing, and it's odd to watch.
Manny Machado is hitting 189, and that's up like 40 points from where he was. And Jackson Merrill is hitting 213. And I know batting average isn't what it used to be, but that's just terrible. You're just making too many outs.
Yeah, I got you. I see it. But when Walker signs here, PK, are you going to come in for the presser or?
No.
No, I'm going to go in my bed and cry.
Now, you guys can help me here, though. What do the Jazz think of? The one negative I've heard is that they feel he's fragile. He gets hurt too much. Is that true? Is there any truth to that?
They would know better than us because they were tanking, and if there was a strong breeze coming in, then somebody had a cold and sat. It is so hard to know who's really hurt and who could have played through something, or the whole thought that, we were sitting him, but we've seen enough, no, his body won't hold up when we do ask him to play 82 games. I think that's a real issue with Markkanen. I mean, clearly they were sitting Markkanen, and he shouldn't be criticized for how few games he played, but that doesn't guarantee that he can play 82 games when he's asked to and when they want him to. That's a whole different question, and I think the same thing with Kessler. I mean, he did have the shoulder on the surgery, or the surgery on the shoulder, so that issue should be okay, but we have seen people have recurring issues, and they got to have surgery a second time, and there's no way to evaluate that. It wasn't at the top of my list of things to worry about, but they know way more than we do because for the last 4 years, this goes back to your point about the Jazz Lakers. You came on when these two clubs played in the playoffs 3 times in 4 years, and only one of them was first round, right? So now you get the Lakers who go 6 years without a playoff series. You go the Jazz who go 4 years without qualifying for the playoffs. It just hasn't been the same. And when they're tanking on purpose, it's really hard to evaluate this stuff.
Yeah, I get you. That's the one other thing I will say about, again, the new Laker management. They're obviously super into analytics and everything. And I'm sure if they do offer Kessler, that would signal that they believe that he's physically capable. Like they really have with the Dodgers, they really haven't missed. Well, this year Tucker, but that's not injury problems. They really haven't missed on any of these free agents for the most part. They've managed to stay healthy. They managed to, be there when they need them, so to speak. I think they're pretty good with judging that. So we'll see. And the thing with Duran, from what I understand, is obviously he had a very strong regular season, but then he kind of went in the tank in the playoffs this year. So there's thought that Detroit might be rethinking giving him a max deal. However, going in the tank in the playoffs when you're 22, I mean, look at how Chet Holmgren completely was humiliated this year in the playoffs. That doesn't mean you're going to dump Chet Holmgren. So
Holmgren was great.
Who knows?
Holmgren was great for 2 playoff series. It's the third one where he got humiliated. And is that Chet Holmgren or is that Big Vic?
It's Wemby. I don't know. It's weird. And the only other big out there who's unrestricted is Mitchell Robinson. And Robinson is a very solid center, but I don't believe he's a starting center. I think he's a 20-minute-a-night center. The Lakers need a guy who can fortify the paint. And it doesn't even have to be offensively, really. Just, intimidate, block shots, body up. Nobody can really body up Wemby, but some guys can push him around a little bit. They need that guy. And I don't know if that guy is available this year, to be honest with you. This might be, a year or two down the road, but we'll see.
Well, I've been thinking about this, and there's probably stuff we don't know, but right now I'm thinking if I were calling for the shots for the Jazz, I would tell the Lakers, sorry, we match. We'll sort. It's a lot of money, but we'll sort it out later, and then trade and get draft picks and talent back or whatever. So I think that's to wrap this whole conversation up. I think that's what people should expect. It's what I think it's what I would do if I were in that seat. That's what I'd do. I'd match.
That's what I believe they will do. So I'm not holding my breath for even Kessler coming here, but we'll see.
Okay. Larry, good to talk to you. And, your Dodgers, it ought to be 105 wins, and we'll see you in the postseason. On TV playing somebody else, not the Padres, if they can't start swinging the bat. So, all right.
All right, guys.
All right, thanks, Larry. There's Larry the Laker on the end of the LeBron era. He largely said what you said, PK. And I think that's because there's a lot of truth to it. He's like a golfer. He's his own corporation. It's LeBron Inc. He's a Cav. He's Heat. He's Cav. He's Laker. He's whatever Jazz. He's about to be. Cav for the third time. Warrior. Heat again. Jazz. Less likely, Jazz or Nuggets?
Nuggets.
Okay.
We got Dwayne Wade.
There is that. Relationships matter.
Yeah.
D-Wade will talk to him.
Right.
Young guys, come on, do it.
Why wouldn't he take a look at this place?
Well, he said he was going to take a look at every place. So
the places who are interested in him.
Right.
And the report is that he's going to accept the minimum. So
that opens a possibility for a lot of teams. Should we break now, Yak? All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Slacker Radio Headlines coming up. Stay with us.
And now, a look at traffic from the KSL Traffic Center.
Got an earlier accident at the point of the mountain. It's over to the right shoulder, but still seeing residual delays from 2100 north over the point all the way to Bangor Highway. Still obviously have a crash eastbound I-80 at 1300 west is causing big delays for drivers heading between I-215 and I-15. And also southbound I-15, there's some slowing between Warm Springs Road and downtown Salt Lake City. At UTA, we move your early mornings, your long days, your big plans. We move purpose, we move you. Plan your trip today at rideuta.com. With your KSL traffic update, I'm Jake Hatch right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Utah Jazz select Darren Peterson.
The Utah Jazz have found their future face of the franchise as Darren Peterson is on his way to Salt Lake City.
The BYU at Kansas game, he had 18 points in the first half. He was 6 of 8, had 3 steals. There was no question who the best player on the floor was.
Winning basketball is back in Utah, and the KSL Sports Zone will be with the New Look Jazz every step of the way. Your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
That's the breaking news bed. Yak has provided a breaking news bed because we have breaking news. This is talking about trading Walker Kessler. You can't let him walk for free. Guess what? The Jazz are trading him right now. Shams Breaking news. The Lakers are acquiring Walker Kessler from the Utah Jazz for unprotected first-round picks in 2031 and 2033 and first-round swaps in 28 and 30. Sources tell ESPN. Kessler will sign a massive 4-year, $130 million deal with the Lakers. So there you go.
Goodbye, Walker.
5,000 retweets in 1 minute. Shams just posted it at the end of the break there.
I think they had to let him go. I was bracing myself for them letting him go.
But not letting him walk. Trade him and get something back.
You never let a Walker walk.
4 draft picks. 2 unprotected, 31 and 33, and 2 others available in swaps.
Yeah.
More draft capital. And nothing for immediately in 27, which is projected to be a bad draft. The first pick swap is in 28. All right, there you go. 4 years, 130. And Walker ends up so that averages out to about $32.5 million. So the Lakers don't have to go to 37 to prime away from the Jazz. They save a little money that they can go spend on somebody else. And that does explain, I did think that was a high price tag for Nurkic, so they were bracing themselves for this. That's a high price tag for a backup center. So now they go get someone of roughly his quality for about the same money. Because if they brought Kessler in, that means you're spending somewhere between $40 and $50 million on that position, and you just can't spend $50 million on every position. They're already spending $50 million on each of the forwards, so now they go get somebody who's available out there in the $10 to $15 million range.
Well, I don't necessarily know that you go after a big man though, a replacement for Kessler.
I think they need to add one more big body. I mean, it could be Nurkic, Filipowski, and Jackson, and you're just going to rotate those 3 guys through there, and Nurkic is going to play a lot. You could.
Yeah.
They've now got 3 roster spots not spoken for. They have 10 guys signed. Peterson signing will be 11. Nurkic would be 12. So they have 3 spots. Now they do. Now back to the earlier point, that does leave them money to go get a, $15 million. They could go get another $15 million center and a $15 million ball handling combo guard, whatever they think, veteran for the perimeter.
Right.
And go from there. And Kessler's off to the Lakers, and the Jazz get 4 draft picks back. 2 picks and 2 swaps. Done and done.
Well, for what they acquired him for, I guess that's good. But I think that they were bracing themselves that he would be gone, and they didn't want to spend the money.
Want to spend the money other places. So we'll see if they do. I can't imagine they're going to pocket it. I expect them to spend it other places. Kessler to the Lakers. There you go. The Lakers were making a run at Duren in Detroit. To the Jazz.
He's a restricted free agent just like Walker.
I think he has the potential to be a better player. He's clearly a better offensive player. But, I think Detroit has made it known that they want to re-sign him. But, would the Jazz rather give a bigger offer to Duren than Kessler? This is a part of the puzzle. It's not a complete, okay, this is it, that's it, this deal. Yeah. It's in a box. No. There's all sorts of stuff that can go around it.
So Kessler had $28 million on the table, and he got it up about $4.5 million, but he's going to give away almost $3 million of it in taxes to live there. So, but you just want the money. And playing with Doncic has got to be attractive. It would have been intriguing here with all the guys here, but it'll be intriguing there with Doncic and Reeves and whoever else they bring in.
Yeah, for sure. Right. I mean, and as Larry was just telling us, we do know who owns the Lakers and what they're trying to do. And, they're usually not down for long.
Yeah, that 6-year span was highly unusual. And these guys will invest, and the Lakers will be hamstrung by the NBA salary cap rules. But they are investing. They are investing in the right things. They do have deep pockets, and they are willing to spend. And they will.
Oh, I think you have to. In order to win, you have to.
All right, for those of you missing it, the news just breaking. Shams and ESPN reporting the Lakers are acquiring Walker Kessler from the Utah Jazz for unprotected first-round draft picks in 2031 and 2033, and first-round swaps in 2028 and 2030. Kessler will sign a massive 4-year, $130 million deal with the Lakers. So get his $32.5 million AAV, as you like to say. Well, now everything else we're going to talk about is going to be dwarfed, isn't it?
Mike Conley signing with the Celtics does seem a little smaller.
Who else to the Celtics?
Mitchell Robinson leaving the Knicks.
Knicks are going to the Celtics.
He's going to Boston.
Ooh.
3-year deal, 54, I think.
All right. See anything that changes the balance of power yet, PK? Or teams in the middle are moving pieces around, but nothing's clearly obvious? I mean, everybody's trying to catch the
I don't know that there is a balance of power.
The Thunder. Everybody's trying to catch the Thunder and the Spurs in the West.
I don't know about that. I mean, Indiana went to 7 games with the Thunder, and they're losing guys, and the Knicks beat them. So let's not make the Thunder to be all that.
Well, then the Knicks didn't beat the Thunder, but they beat the Spurs who beat the Thunder. Yes. It's just we sat there all year thinking those two were going to meet in the Western Conference Final, and they did. And they blew through teams in the playoffs on the way there. So you're right about the East, and anything can happen in the final. But in the West, there's a gap between the top 2 and the other 13.
Last year.
We all predicted it. Turned out to be true.
I don't see either of those teams as running away and being uncatchable.
The other moves, Clippers, Kawhi Leonard goes to the Raptors. They also got first-round, like the Jazz, got first-round picks in 2031 and 2033. A 2027 first-round pick swap and 2 future second-round picks. Also, Brandon Ingram and Grady Dick leave Toronto and go to the Clippers. So, 'tis the season. Here we go. It's July 1st. Guys are moving and signing and swapping. Nikola Vucevic, 1 year, $3.9 million to return to Orlando. The moves keep coming. But Kessler to the Lakers for 2 picks and 2 pick swaps. The big news.
Gigantic news, yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that I like about it is get it done rather than being held hostage. They clearly were held hostage by Gordon Hayward. It's a different administration and ownership. They will acknowledge it.
But the previous administration acknowledged it. Yeah.
Yes, and they had opportunities to get other players, 2 players that wanted to come here, but they were hung up on waiting for what Hayward was doing, and that's not the way to do it. Don't wait till July 7th. That's only a week, but it might as well be forever. And so get in there and make moves now that allows you to make other moves. Because one move begets another move and so forth. So from that perspective, get that thing done. And, he was going to sign something with the Lakers. So, and I don't think they wanted to match it in the 30s. And so since they didn't want to match it in the 30s, get stuff back.
Yes, get stuff back. Do not let him walk. Do not let him just walk. And they did. They got 2 picks and a possibility to swap 2 more.
Yeah.
And I had a thought there I was going to share, and it just went straight out of my mind. Well, that's awesome radio, isn't it?
We'll just keep babbling on, and it usually comes back.
It probably will come back.
So, yeah. There you go.
Oh,
man.
It just came back. Thank you very much. Kept battling. Here it comes.
I know.
That whole, we were talking earlier this morning. I said, what's your gut instinct? How much do you believe the mid to high 30s? And he comes in at 32.5.
I didn't necessarily believe high, but I thought that was sort of gray to where you could get by saying that.
32.5 it's low. It's low 30s.
That is low 30s.
That is low 30s.
And I don't think the Jazz wanted to go into the 30s on this player.
I don't think the Lakers did either. And so rather than get caught into a bidding war back and forth here, hey, make it 4 years, $130 million. It's the most he's going to get. The Jazz get draft picks. The Lakers get their players. And Walker can dream about, 37 or 40 in the next deal. It's a 4-year deal. He'll probably, if he plays well, he'll be right in his prime and can go get another big deal.
Oh, yeah. That only puts him at 28.
Yeah, it's up to him now to produce. And
I think he will.
Time.
I think for what you're asking him.
Double-double and protect the rim.
Yeah.
And he needs to become a better free throw shooter. I'd give him a little upside there.
Yeah, and the ball's going to be in Doncic's hands. That's the way he has to have that.
That's how it's going to work.
His teams, that's what is required. We understand that. And away they go. So the Jazz got what they could in the situation, but I like the fact that it got done early.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I think so then now make some other moves, right? It wasn't going to be Darren Peterson, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So go make some other moves, see what you got cooking, what you can do to help get the team better. Right?
Yep. There you go. All right. Anything else? Anything else you want to share? Sorsby isn't going to sue the NFL. He's going to sit out a year. So it effectively becomes a 1-year suspension. No college, no pro football. He'll go into the 2027 draft, and the NFL says they're not going to punish him for his past gambling behavior. I think they're recognizing this sitting out a year that's the year they tend to punish people for. That's their history going back decades.
Yeah. And own it.
Yeah.
This doesn't have to be a career-defining thing. It does obviously not a life. Hopefully for you it isn't. And then go see what you can do. He'll have an opportunity to make an NFL roster.
It's career-defining in baseball. They will kick you out forever.
I don't know that they'll kick you out forever.
Well, they've done it multiple times. I do agree with your point. Like, could it have been different for Rose if he'd come clean and just said, well, I did it. That was a mistake. And I
need help.
He didn't want to do that.
Everything was obstinate with him.
Right.
And I'll be in your face. I'll be defiant. You'll have the Hall of Fame weekend. I'll go to Cooperstown and sign autographs for money. Like,
yeah.
Your PR on that was a disaster.
It was a disaster. But baseball does have a history of that, and football does not. This is consistent with football's history. They sit people for a year for this kind of stuff. The first time. Might be more down the road if there's, more incidents. All right, DJ PK, your feedback next. Stay with us. Shams shaking it up. Jazz fans reacting. ESPN and Shams reporting Kessler of the Lakers for unprotected picks in 2031 and 2033 and pick swaps in 2028 and 2030. Jazz fans, what do you think? We got it up on Twitter, David DJ James, on Facebook, DJ and PK. And Jazz fans are going to town. Matt, well, at least it wasn't on the 4th of July. I told my 2-year-old, she said, shoot, that's not good. He needs to get a Band-Aid.
Yeah, I got one in my ear. I can lend them.
Oh, man. The thing for the people who don't like this trade, the thing you got to recognize here is that they're already paying $95 million to 2 forwards this year in Jackson and Markkanen. It goes to $100 million next year and $105 the year after. So basically, they're spending $50 million on one forward, $50 million on another. If they brought Kessler in and paid him at $32.5 million with Nurkic, they're paying that position $43.5 million.
Yeah, I would look at it as big men, though, not necessarily center forward. But I still get your point.
But 3 of the 5 spots, because you're going to run 2 guards out there.
Well, I would look at it for center, but the 2 forwards I think are more interchangeable.
They are.
So the centers, you're right. That's inarguable.
It's just so much money, and I just.
Oh, the only thing that surprises me here. You got Bailey down the road. You got George down the road.
Yes, and so the only thing that surprises me here is how quickly they're doing this. But definitely do not let him walk for nothing. You can't. He's got too much value, and then the trade proves he's got too much value. They got 2 first-round picks unprotected. Maybe you'll catch a break. Maybe you won't. Are the Lakers going to be good? Are they going to be healthy? Whatever.
That doesn't matter.
And you got 2 swaps.
The picks are assets. That's 5 and 7 years from now.
They may be traded in the meantime, as we've seen with the Cleveland and Minnesota picks that got lumped together and to Phoenix for a 2031
So
pick.
don't worry about where the Lakers are going to be at that time because nobody has any idea where they're going to be.
Nor do we know how the lottery will work.
That's irrelevant. And you could use those picks to move up, to get other picks. We've seen it last week in the draft. So don't worry about that.
We just saw the Utah Mammoth do it last week. Trade a player, get 2 picks, immediately take one of those picks and turn around and get a goaltender.
Yes. So forget about where the Lakers are going to be.
And that may be the answer to what they're going to do because they could roll the dice and go with Nurkic and Jackson and Filipowski and say, they will always be matched up. One of those 3 will have to be matched up with the Wembayamas, the Jokers, whatever center, Kessler, whatever center these other Western teams are running out there. Primarily who you worry about.
I think the big question is, do they give Kessler a scoreboard tribute? I say no.
I say yes.
No, and no.
Okay, that question, was that what you would do or what you predict they will do?
Well, if they have any brains, they'll do exactly what I tell them to do.
But the world doesn't work that way. So now, personally, I wouldn't bother with it, but it does seem like the norm in the NBA, so I think it'll happen. 4
losing seasons.
He'll be blocking
And he goes
shots.
to the Lakers.
But they want the
on
whole...
you. Kessler, you're dead to me.
They want to feel good. This is the organization that treats people. It's about the message they're sending to everybody else. It's not about whatever shot blocks and dunks they decide to put in the video.
He went to the Lakers.
And they got...
Why don't you just marry my best friend?
That is what I say about the Chargers moving to L.A. The Chargers leaving San Diego was a divorce. The fact they moved to L.A. is like they married your brother.
Would you like a true fact?
Can't happen. But it did.
What?
Would you like a true fact, as you guys like to say?
Yeah. Only if it's factual.
That would be our first producer who dropped that, right?
Yes.
That would be.
A long line of it.
The Los Angeles Lakers have now traded more first-round picks for Walker Kessler than they did for Luka Doncic.
But I think that's like saying, oh, this player gets the most money. Yeah, Austin Reeves got the most money for an unrestricted free agent, but there'll be somebody else. The point I'm making is that it seems like the first-round picks for acquiring talent keeps going up.
But so they gave up one in 2029 in the Luka Doncic deal, and now Anthony Davis went over in that deal. But you've now given up 2 unprotected first-round picks plus 2 pick swaps in the alternating years. It's quite a haul for the Jazz.
Right, but the Lakers also think that they're going to be good, so nobody's going to want the swaps because they're going to be drafted 25th or later.
Right, so we don't know how that's going to work.
But they also don't have a first-round pick for the next 7 years now.
Yeah, I think that's dangerous. I've been saying that's right now.
Right.
That's to me that is dangerous. I would be so reluctant to do that. And they need Kessler to be all-star caliber now.
Yeah, he's got to come up big time. I mean, $30 million a year. You've got a $32.5, which is what he's going to get, $32.5 million. 4 years, $130 million. He's got to be their third best player.
Well, when you talk about...
He's got to be one of their big 3. I mean, they're paying him like it. He's got to produce like it.
Double-double. It's got to be...
Better than the 11-10, 12-11 double-double.
Yes, that's a higher double-double.
Hit some free throws so you can be on the floor at the end of close games so it doesn't turn into hack a Kessler because you're at 55 or 60%.
Or he's Shaq-like and the games aren't even close.
I don't think he's going to be Shaq-like. Since Shaq was apparently the only thing close to Shaq in NBA history was Wilt, and that was just a little before my time.
No, I understand that. But the fact is, he's going to have to improve a lot. Not a little, a lot. And he's going to have to stay healthy. Obviously. These are all does, I think. So you got to get something. I love the fact that it's early in the process or earlier in the process, happening on July 1st. And now you know the uncertainty is gone and you can deal with other uncertainties to make them certain.
I think your uncertainties to make them certain. That was good.
Yeah.
I think that your point about being reluctant to give up the draft picks even if they're late, the fact the Jazz have hit to a degree, what degree still, we have to let these guys, get older and their careers play out, but the fact they've hit on a degree with on Collier and hitting on Filipowski, now Svi Mihalik isn't a draft pick.
I think Sensabaugh has been hit on. Good enough for where he was drafted.
So Sensabaugh is at $4.8 million this year. Svi is at $3.8. Filipowski at $3. Collier at $2.7. That's 3 draft picks. Svi was not a draft pick. But to have good players that you're paying less than $5 million when you're going to be paying so many of these top stars $50 million, you got to turn around and find some value on these less expensive players. And whether you hit on draft picks or you hit on unrestricted, just some free agent you find who's undrafted and overlooked, Reeves, Ingles, somebody who's been in Europe and is maybe a little older, whatever. You've just got to find inexpensive players who can play. And you can say that giving up pick 24 or 28 in the draft isn't a big deal, but you got to find inexpensive players somewhere. And the math is working for the Jazz. And part of the reason we have this excitement about the roster is because they do have players who look like they can play who are down in that $5 million or less area. Going forward, like Cody Williams needs to take a big step forward because his money, 6, 7, 8 million, not 8, but 7.6, almost 7.7 million. That's going to matter when they're trying to re-sign Keontae. They may have to jettison him to sign Keontae in a year, unless he blows up and then he's a guy you're trying to hold on to and you're looking to jettison somebody else.
Right. But they've got options. The optionalities of it.
There it is.
We were discussing that word.
Optionality is the word of the morning. All right, Walker Kessler to the Lakers for unprotected first-round picks in 2031 and 2033 and pick swaps in 2028 and 2030. And Walker gets 4 years and $130 million. So he doesn't get that mid to high 30s that they were talking. But 32.5 is a pretty good neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And there he is. All right, DJ and PK coming up next. Scotty G and the coach take over right here on The Zone.